Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Perhaps it was the influence of the Otsutsuki bloodline. Every jutsu he attempted, he mastered almost effortlessly. Even he found it strange. Back at the academy, he had only been a decent student. Not a slouch, but nothing remarkable. Certainly not a genius like Kakashi Hatake or Itachi Uchiha. Compared to them, he was a background character. Now, it was like he had been reborn. Every technique he touched, no matter how complex, melted into his muscle memory. Even high-level forbidden techniques like the Flying Thunder God or this special teleportation jutsu were absorbed with ridiculous ease. But mastering a jutsu and using it in battle were different things. Until now, Haru had lacked an opportunity to actually test the technique in combat. Hidden Leaf Village's suppression had left him unchallenged on the road. Now, for the first time, he unleashed the teleportation jutsu in a real fight. And the results? He was pleased. Deeply. This was a space-time jutsu. One of the rarest, most powerful types. He stared at Killer Bee with a cold, analytical gaze. Then his eyes drifted to Samui. He remembered her from his past life. Her figure, her presence. She had always stood out, even among the hardened ranks of the Hidden Cloud. Seeing her in person only confirmed it. Strong. Loyal. Proud. It made her resistance all the more tragic. But admirable. However, this female ninja is far from brainless. She was too intelligent. Killer Bee, seasoned from countless battles, hadn't recognized the technique Haru used. But Samui saw through it immediately. That was truly impressive. Still, recognizing it was one thing. Breaking it was another. The teleportation jutsu. At least for now, Haru Uchiha had completely mastered this fierce jutsu, and no one seemed to have a clear method to counter it. Unless someone possessed strength vastly superior to his own, there was no way to overcome it. And this included Killer Bee and even the full power of the 8 tails. Fully transform into a tailed beast. Killer Bee went all out. Now that he understood the kind of enemy he faced, he could no longer afford to hold back. He entered full tailed beast transformation, becoming the mighty 8 tails in physical form. A monstrous, bull-like creature with 8 tentacle-like tails exploded into existence. Its emergence came with a terrifying pressure, far more immense than the half-beast form. The 8 tails let out a thunderous roar that shook the heavens. Samui, even after covering her ears, felt the vibrations drill into her bones. The sheer sound nearly made her collapse. Thankfully, the 8 tails wasn't targeting her. Otherwise, even that roar alone would have been enough to knock her unconscious. Haru Uchiha stood unmoved. Beside him, a colossal dragon began to materialize. Dozens of meters long, it curled upward as Haru floated into the air. At the same time, his Sharingan eyes glowed a blood-red hue, more intense and bewitching than ever before. The 8 tails' entire massive frame trembled with unease. Fear crept in. Primal and unshakable. Something ancient within him warned him to yield. Those eyes were terrifying. The stories were true. Once, Madara Uchiha had used those eyes to control the 9 tails. And now another Uchiha, wielding a similar power, stood before him. Though Haru couldn't compare to Madara yet, the 8 tails was no 9 tails either. Even so, the oppressive chakra emanating from this man, mixed with the influence of his Sharingan, was overwhelming. It was too much. It crushed all instinct to fight. Juki, what's wrong with you? As a perfect Jinchuriki, Killer Bee could sense every subtle shift in the 8 tails. But what he sensed now was beyond belief. The 8 tails, once ferocious and proud, was afraid. I hate those eyes. The 8 tails muttered, trembling. We need to go. We can't win against him. The tailed beasts were proud by nature. They believed in their unmatched power. Yet now, one of them was backing down, its pride shattered by sheer intimidation. All right. Killer Bee responded. He understood. Haru Uchiha was too strong. An abyss of power they couldn't cross. He had lingered here only to buy time, to let the shinobi of Hidden Cloud escape. But there was no point anymore. He had tested Haru's strength. And lost. Surely, by now, his fellow ninjas had gotten far away. Time to retreat. Juki, the tailed beast bomb. Killer Bee spoke solemnly. The final move. The most devastating jutsu a tailed beast could unleash. A concentrated mass of yin-yang chakra, molded into a black sphere, began to form between the eight tails' jaws. Small in size, but holding annihilation within. Once fully charged, they launched it toward Haru Uchiha. Boom. A deafening explosion rocked the land. Smoke billowed. Shockwaves tore through the forest. The river vaporized instantly. Half the forest vanished in a flash. All life within range obliterated. The sheer destructive power was enough to make the sky seem to tremble. Killer Bee and the eight tails stared intently at the center of the crater. Looking. Searching. For any sign of Haru Uchiha. But there was nothing. No chakra signature. No movement. Just desolation. And then. Killer Bee sensei. Behind you. Behind you. Sammy screamed. Killer Bee and the eight tails turned in unison. And there he was. Haru Uchiha, standing unharmed. Eyes cold, expression unreadable. A smirk of amusement playing on his lips. Then, he raised one foot. And slammed it down. Boom. A shockwave blasted outward. The earth cracked beneath him. Dust exploded. A deep crater formed from nothing but raw physical force. Chapter 89, Can You Hide from These Eyes? Cough, cough, cough. Killer Bee and the eight tails slowly climbed out of the massive crater, their bodies battered, their spirits weighed down. How did Haru Uchiha get behind them? The teleportation jutsu? No, that couldn't be it. There wasn't a single afterimage, and the distance was too far. The teleportation jutsu couldn't cover ground like that. It definitely wasn't the teleportation jutsu. Then what kind of technique was this? How did this Uchiha brat master so many advanced forms of ninjutsu? B. Do you remember the yellow flash of Hidden Leaf Village we encountered during the Third Great Ninja War? The yellow flash of Hidden Leaf Village? The eight tails words sparked Killer Bee's memory. It brought to mind a fearsome technique that had shaken the shinobi world during the war. The Flying Thunder God technique. Could it be that? Killer Bee frowned and glanced over his shoulder. Sure enough, there it was. A kunai embedded in the ground, etched with a familiar formula. Hiss. The Flying Thunder God. Compared to the teleportation jutsu, he was far more familiar with this. He hadn't just heard of it. He'd fought against it. If the Flying Thunder God formula was placed on a target, the user could teleport to it instantly. No matter how great the distance. He remembered it vividly. He and his brother, the current fourth Raikage, had crossed paths with the infamous yellow flash of Hidden Leaf Village. Minato Namikaze, the man who would become the fourth Hokage. They had clashed briefly. Although it ended in a draw, the speed and deadliness of Minato's Flying Thunder God technique had left a deep scar in his mind. It had been 2 against 1. And they only managed to draw? In truth, they had already lost. Now, Killer Bee could tell at a glance. Haru Uchiha had used the same technique. His heart grew heavier by the second. The teleportation jutsu, the Flying Thunder God, the Sharingan, wood style, and monstrous taijutsu skills. Could this really be a ninja only 16 or 17 years old? No matter how gifted he was, how could someone so young have mastered so many high-level jutsu? It was inhuman. Across the entire history of the shinobi world, past and present, there might not be anyone who had achieved such power at his age. Juki, get ready. Continuous tailed beast bombs. Got it. The eight tails began to gather chakra again. But this time, it wasn't just a single-tailed beast bomb. It was a barrage. A continuous volley. As the name implied, these bombs would be prepared in rapid succession and fired one after another, laying waste to everything in their path. Soon, they were ready. As a perfect Jinchuriki, Killer Bee could seamlessly merge with the eight tails and unleash powerful attacks almost effortlessly. Even something as massive as the continuous tailed beast bombs took a little time to prepare. Fire. Killer Bee bellowed, and the eight tails unleashed a devastating barrage. One after another, glowing black spheres burst from its mouth, aimed directly at Haru Uchiha. This time, they deliberately varied the angle and trajectory, anticipating the possibility that Haru might use the Flying Thunder God technique again. They remained vigilant. Boom. 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 Explosions ripped through the landscape. The colossal energy wiped out everything nearby. Samyu had been protected in advance by Killer Bee. Otherwise, she would have been turned to ash in an instant. More than 10 tailed beast bombs were fired. Even the eight tails, with its nearly limitless chakra, was beginning to falter. Killer Bee was panting hard. The eight tails looked exhausted. But there was no hesitation. They knew. Even with such a bombardment, there was no guarantee that Haru Uchiha had been killed. Their true goal wasn't to destroy him. It was to buy time. To escape. They turned. "Let's move." Killer Bee barked, taking off with Samui. They dashed across the battlefield, battered ground beneath their feet. They didn't get far. They had barely covered 20 meters when the raised terrain in front of them erupted. A forest of trees burst from the scorched earth, entangling the Eight Tails with ferocious speed. These weren't ordinary trees. This was wood style. The Eight Tails roared and struggled, snapping the trees like twigs with brute force. Crack. The first wave shattered. But within seconds, a second wave surged from the earth, even denser, even tougher. Despite being drained from the continuous tailed beast bombs, the Eight Tails' raw power was still terrifying. Crack. It broke free again, roaring in fury. Rah. The Eight Tails roared and charged forward. Along its path, trees rose up to block the way, but without exception, it tore through them one by one. Nothing could stop it. It was an unstoppable force of destruction. But just then, a massive wooden dragon descended from the sky, diving straight for the Eight Tails. Roar. The beast bellowed, the sound echoing through the shattered forest. A dragon and a bull. Two titanic forces. Roared at once and charged. Just before impact, the wooden dragon twisted midair, coiling around the Eight Tails like a serpent. The enormous wooden dragon, tens of meters long, wrapped itself tightly around the rampaging beast. The Eight Tails, muscle-bound and brimming with violent chakra, struggled with all its might. The wooden dragon glowed with a dark green energy. Though it looked like wood, its surface gleamed like steel, emanating immense power. What followed was no longer a direct clash. It was a battle of raw strength. Roar. The Eight Tails strained, its massive muscles bulging under the pressure of the dragon's grip. But the more it struggled, the tighter the dragon coiled. With a groan of splintering wood, the dragon began to crack. But each time it did, those cracks regenerated as if being healed. "Juki, something's wrong." "Chakra. The wood dragon is absorbing our chakra." Killer Bee immediately sensed the abnormality. Logically, the Eight Tails should have torn the dragon apart within moments. But it had held out far longer than expected. Not only were the previous cracks regenerating, but the grip was tightening further. The truth became clear. The wood dragon was draining their chakra while reinforcing itself. "Juki, we can't drag this out. Gather your strength and break free in one go." Killer Bee's voice sharpened with urgency. The longer the struggle continued, the more chakra they would lose. The Eight Tails' reserves would keep diminishing, while the wood dragon continued to grow stronger. A one-time burst of power. That was their only option. Got it. The Eight Tails grunted in acknowledgement, took a deep breath, and summoned all of its strength in one massive effort. The groaning of bending wood intensified. Cracks spiderwebbed across the wooden dragon's body. Its dark green glow began to flicker. It was on the verge of breaking. "You've got this, Juki. Just a little more and..." "Ah!" Killer Bee's shout of encouragement trailed off abruptly. Because from the distance, a figure was slowly approaching. Haru Uchiha. His blood-red eyes glowed ominously, and within them spun three tomoe. Connected like curved blades, swirling with malevolent power. Those eyes. Killer Bee's breath caught in his throat. Mangekyo Sharingan. All his usual antics. The rap, the quips, the bravado. Vanished. What replaced them was silent awe and dread. The legendary eyes. Eyes said to have been wielded only by Madara Uchiha in the days of old. The Mangekyo Sharingan. And now they were staring them down. Even the Eight Tails' resistance began to falter. Something primal inside it recoiled from those eyes. It wanted to submit. It couldn't resist. Such power, such bloodlust. It wasn't something even a tailed beast could ignore. Haru Uchiha stepped closer, his face devoid of emotion. Cold and indifferent. 100 years ago, the god of shinobi, Senju Hashirama, had used the wood dragon technique to suppress the rampaging Night Tails. And now, Haru had done the same. Though his opponent was weakened, his control of wood style alone wasn't enough to subdue the Eight Tails completely. In the end, it was his Mangekyo Sharingan that sealed the battle. It proved one thing. He still had a ways to go before matching Hashirama at his prime. But he wasn't discouraged. Haru exhaled quietly, his gaze unwavering. He was still young. And his potential was limitless. One day, he would surpass even Hashirama Senju. He believed it. Haru Uchiha walked toward the unconscious Killer Bee. The Eight Tails had already withdrawn into Bee's body, completely drained of chakra and unable to manifest again anytime soon. Killer Bee had collapsed. Beside him lay Samui. With a flick of Haru's wrist, vines rose from the ground and bound the two tightly. Then, with a blur, Haru vanished. His teleportation jutsu far surpassing normal shinobi speed. His movement was a level beyond comprehension. By the time anyone could react, he had already disappeared into the horizon. He reappeared at the true hidden stronghold of the Uchiha clan. The hidden cloud shinobi thought they had everything under control. They thought they kept their distance to avoid the Sharingan's effects. But they didn't know they were facing eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. That kind of distance could deceive an ordinary Sharingan. But not these eyes. Haru Uchiha had seen through everything from the beginning. He had anticipated their movements. And he had already prepared. Evacuating everyone to this hidden location before the enemy even launched their attack. Chapter 90, The Helplessness of the Hidden Cloud Village. Paying money to redeem the people. Haru is back. It's Haru Uchiha. As soon as Haru returned, members of the Uchiha clan quickly surrounded him. Haru, did everything go smoothly? The great elder approached with a calm smile, his tone gentle. Of course, he knew with Haru's abilities that nothing would have gone wrong, but he asked out of politeness. Yes. Haru replied with a nod. He then instructed the guards to take the captured Killer Bee and Samurai away and place them under heavy watch. Turning to the great elder, he asked. How are things on your end? Haha, don't worry. The elder laughed, motioning with his hand. Two Uchiha ninja appeared, dragging behind them a restrained shinobi from the hidden cloud village. It was C, also known as the right-hand man of the fourth Raikage. Haru's mission had been simple, disrupt the hidden cloud's plans and capture Killer Bee. The remaining cloud ninja were left to the Uchiha clan. Haru had no intention of letting his clan rest on their laurels. If they couldn't subdue a bunch of defeated, disorganized ninja, what good were they? Fortunately, it seemed they had managed just fine. Bring him forward. Haru said, waving casually. The Uchiha shinobi pushed C forward. Were you the one leading this operation? Haru asked flatly, barely bothering to look at him. Yes, Lord Haru. C answered with respect. It wasn't just because he was a prisoner. Haru's sheer strength had left an undeniable impression. So it was you who thought you could take on the Uchiha clan? What a joke. Did you forget to look in the mirror before coming here? One of the younger Uchiha sneered. But C remained composed, his bearing calm and unshaken. Haru gave a slight nod, inwardly impressed. It wasn't easy to maintain such poise after a defeat like that. Lord Haru, on behalf of the Raikage, I wish to express our deep regret for the Hidden Cloud's actions. We acknowledge our fault in this. I ask that you show mercy and release our people. The Hidden Cloud Village is one of the 5 great ninja nations. If you allow this, the Raikage would be grateful, and eager to build a friendship with the Uchiha clan. C's tone was diplomatic, almost too smooth. He didn't speak like a prisoner, he spoke like an envoy. Haru chuckled. Most would hear nothing but humility in C's words. But Haru heard the hidden message clearly. Show mercy, make friends, veiled threats. The message was simple, Hidden Cloud was powerful. Cooperate and they'd be allies. Refuse, and they'd become enemies. And given the state of things, even Hidden Leaf Village had little interest in offending the Hidden Cloud right now. What chance did the Uchiha clan alone have? Haru looked at C and said casually. Make friends? Yes, we Uchiha are always happy to make friends. C's eyes lit up for a moment, the glimmer of hope quickly hidden. Maybe it really could be that easy? After all, the Hidden Cloud Village held significant sway. Who would dare oppose them? As for friendship, that was just political theater. When had lions and sheep ever become friends? The great elder stood beside Haru, clenching his fists, barely restraining himself from intervening. He understood the cloud's power, yes. But releasing prisoners so easily would make them appear weak. What would stop other villages from trying the same thing? Still, he said nothing. He knew Haru wasn't so simple. There was no way he would let things go cheaply. Release them. Of course. Haru said with a slow nod. But there will be a price. Money is no problem. C replied quickly. If you have any other requests, Lord Haru, please say so. As long as it is within my power, I will comply. Over 100 elite Jonin had been captured. Among them were Samurai, a rising star, and Killer Bee. A perfect Jinchuriki, brother of the fourth Raikage. Bringing them all back was worth any price. In C's mind, Haru was just using this as a face-saving gesture. Surely he wouldn't ask for too much. Who would dare demand a steep ransom from the Hidden Cloud? 1 million ryo. Haru said calmly. Alright, no problem. 1 million. Per person. C froze mid-sentence. 1. Per person. 1 million ryo. You have to understand. In the ninja world, a bowl of ramen only costs about 60 ryo. 1 million ryo is an astronomical amount of money. 1 million ryo per person. There were over 100 captives. That meant the total ransom would exceed 100 million ryo. Mr. Haru Uchiha, you're not joking, are you? C looked at Haru, incredulous. He suspected that Haru had no idea just how massive a sum 1 million ryo really was. Haru only cast him a cold glance. No. There's no use keeping them alive then. Kill them all. Yes. The ninja nearby acknowledged the order without hesitation, pulling C along. 1 million ryo. If the ransom was paid, they'd live. If not, they'd die. The attitude was merciless, utterly devoid of compromise. C finally realized Haru was serious. And his earlier thoughts, about fearing the hidden cloud village and hesitating to attack them. Ridiculous. No, they just wanted the money. Wait. Mr. Haru Uchiha, yes. Yes. 1 million ryo per person is acceptable. C shouted, desperate. Do you have the authority to decide this? The great elder interrupted with a grave expression. But inside, he was relieved. He knew Haru well enough to trust that he wouldn't let the Uchiha suffer needlessly. 1 million ryo each. If anyone else tried to negotiate that, it would be impossible. This was not negotiation. It was outright robbery. They already received substantial funds from Hidden Leaf Village before. Now, with ransom money from Hidden Clouds Village, the Uchiha clan could live without worrying about basic needs anywhere. Yes. I can decide. There are 123 ninjas from the Hidden Cloud Village captured here. Each will be worth 1 million ryo. C swallowed hard. He saw the cold resolve in Haru, so formidable and fearless. When dealing with a man like this, you couldn't afford to show any hesitation. It would only cost you more. No, wait. Haru shook his head. The regular ninjas get 1 million ryo each, but you three have special statuses. 1 million is not enough. He was talking about C, Samui, and Kairabi. You'll have to pay more. C was stunned. More money? What about our price? C asked, swallowing nervously. Haru paused, then said. The Jinchuriki is the most expensive. The woman comes next. You are the cheapest. I'll determine the exact amounts. Cheapest? C's emotions twisted into a confusing knot. Was that good news? Bad? Either way, the matter was settled. No matter the cost, the important thing was that no one would get hurt. Especially Killer B, the perfect Jinchuriki. His value to Hidden Clouds Village was beyond measure. As long as he remained safe, the Raikage wouldn't hesitate to pay whatever price was asked. He sighed deeply. All right. I accept all terms. When can we leave? You all may go, but the Jinchuriki and the female ninja must remain. When the payment arrives, I will release them. There were more than 100 captive Hidden Clouds Village ninjas. Taking them all along was impractical. Feeding and guarding them would be a huge burden. It was best to keep only a few key people. Of all the captives, the highest status was Killer B, the perfect Jinchuriki and younger brother of the fourth Raikage. He had to be kept. The female ninja was also a rising star of Hidden Clouds Village and very important. Keeping these two ensured the Cloud Village wouldn't renege on the deal. Can't you release us all? With the reputation of Hidden Clouds Village, we would never break our word. Please trust us. C looked at Haru pleadingly. Another day's delay only increased risks. The tailed beast within Killer B was the top priority. No mistakes were allowed. And Samui. Young, beautiful, and with a tempting figure. Being held by the Uchiha clan felt like a lamb walking into the tiger's den. Though the terms had been negotiated, the risk was still real. But what if? Are you trying to negotiate with me? Haru's gaze cut coldly through C, eyes icy and filled with lethal intent. C trembled inwardly, sensing genuine fear for the first time. Impossible. The great elder next to C spoke firmly, one hand gives the money, the other hand releases the captives. Our dealings are fair. As long as Hidden Clouds Village meets our demands, we will release the Jinchuriki. His tone was gentle but resolute. There was no room for further bargaining. C had no choice but to accept for now. After confirming the values for C, Killer B, and Samui, Haru ordered a list to be drawn up and handed it to C. Following the agreement, all other Hidden Clouds Village ninjas were released first. Haru led the Uchiha clan, along with the captive Killer B and Samui, onward to the Land of Water. Chapter 91, The Fourth Raikage's Fury. After being released by Haru Uchiha, C rushed non-stop back to the Hidden Cloud Village. This matter was urgent, and he had to inform the fourth Raikage of the situation as quickly as possible. So, he left the rest of the team behind, quickening his pace to return alone. The other ninjas, trailing behind, were slowed by injuries, delaying their arrival. As soon as he reached the village, C immediately made his way to the fourth Raikage's office. C, you're back. The fourth Raikage said calmly without looking up from the pile of documents on his desk. His pale skin contrasted with his light blonde hair, and the white, wide-sleeved robe could not conceal his imposing, muscular frame. He looked rough, masculine, and wild. An intimidating presence. Yet now he sat quietly at the table, handling official affairs with an air that seemed somewhat out of place for a man like him. "Where are the Uchiha clan members?" the fourth Raikage asked bluntly. He didn't ask if the mission was successful, he wanted to know their location immediately. This showed his confidence in the operation. C was taken aback, a flicker of embarrassment crossing his face. "Lord Raikage. The mission has failed." The fourth Raikage frowned and looked up, surprise briefly flashing across his rugged, determined face. "What happened? Where are B and Samui?" Then he realized only C had returned to report. B and Samui, his trusted comrades, were missing. B-sama and Samui have both been captured by Haru Uchiha. C frowned deeply, his voice heavy. "What?" The fourth Raikage stood abruptly, fixing C with a piercing gaze. "Explain. Did Hidden Leaf Village make a move?" In his mind, the Uchiha clan were nothing more than stray dogs. With Killer B, the perfect Jinchuriki, and over 100 elite Jonin from Hidden Cloud's village present, failure was unthinkable. Since the plan collapsed, outside interference had to be the cause. Hidden Leaf Village was the first village he suspected. "No. No," C said, his voice tinged with embarrassment. "What exactly happened?" The fourth Raikage's temper flared visibly. Before becoming Raikage, he was notorious for his quick anger. Only after ascending to the position had he learned some restraint. But this shocking failure rekindled the fury he'd long kept in check. C met the Raikage's gaze, inhaled deeply, and recounted everything that had occurred. "Lord Raikage, here is the situation. Eventually, Haru Uchiha agreed to release our people, but naturally, not without a price. This is the ransom he demanded." While speaking, C produced the compensation list Haru had prepared and handed it over. The fourth Raikage studied the list, his brows knitting tightly as his anger deepened. Then, at the breaking point, he exploded. Bang! He slammed his palm hard onto the desk. With a crack, the entire desk shattered into splinters, rendered unusable. The original list disintegrated to dust, vanishing entirely. Haru Uchiha. The insolence of that man is beyond belief. Does he really not respect our Hidden Cloud village? The fourth Raikage roared with fury. To him, this was a blatant provocation. What was written on the list was dressed up as negotiation, but in reality, it was nothing short of an open insult and attack. Enough. Prepare a team immediately. I'm going there myself. Let's see if this Haru Uchiha truly has the audacity to demand such outrageous prices from Hidden Cloud's village. He waved his hand, ready to mobilize forces to confront Haru. He had never felt such fury before. "Lord Raikage, please calm down. Lord Raikage, please." C hurriedly tried to soothe him. "B-sama and Samui are still in Haru's custody. It would be easy to tear down the Uchiha clan with our strength." C continued. "But what about the lives of Killer B and Samui?" The fourth Raikage's eyes narrowed into dangerous slits. With his temperament, swallowing this insult was unthinkable. Yet, abandoning Samui and Killer B was out of the question. Samui was the Hidden Cloud village's brightest hope among the younger generation. Few could rival her. Her cold intelligence and vast knowledge were invaluable. Such a talent was destined to become one of Hidden Cloud's village's pillars. The future's greatest hope. And Killer B was the village's highest priority. Not to mention his personal mentorship of the Jinchuriki. The perfect Jinchuriki's safety was non-negotiable. Thinking this through, the anger in the fourth Raikage's chest slowly began to subside. He let out a long breath, steadying himself, then said, "Tell me everything about the execution of the plan, especially the details of the fight between Killer B and Haru Uchiha. I want to know exactly how our plan failed. How was Killer B defeated?" What troubled the fourth Raikage most was how Killer B, the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, could have been captured and defeated. The overwhelming power he wielded was something even the fourth Raikage dared not underestimate. If Killer B had fought with his full strength, the Raikage believed he himself would have at least an advantage. But to defeat Killer B, and then capture him alive? That was practically impossible. Killer B was the host of the Eight Tails, the sheer power of the tailed beast backing him was unimaginable. "All right," C replied, nodding as he recalled the details of the plan and the battle between Killer B and Haru Uchiha. Because halfway through the fight, he had ordered the Hidden Cloud ninja to retreat and had not witnessed the rest of the battle firsthand, he could not fully describe how Killer B was ultimately defeated and captured. But even a partial account of the battle was enough to astonish. The fourth Raikage's brows furrowed deeper and deeper, his face growing more and more solemn. Even after C finished speaking, the Raikage remained lost in thought, replaying the battle. After a long pause, he looked at C incredulously and said, "You're saying Haru Uchiha surpassed Killer B in physical ability?" Even after Killer Bee entered a half-tailed beast state, he was still outpaced by Haru Uchiha. Yes. C confirmed. He understood how ridiculous it sounded. After all, Killer Bee was one of the strongest shinobi in the entire Hidden Cloud village. For him to be outmatched in every aspect by someone so young, only 16 or 17 years old, was unbelievable. If C hadn't seen it with his own eyes, his first reaction would have been disbelief. This has to be a joke, right? The fourth Raikage felt the same way. Yet, deep down, he was more shocked than skeptical. He knew C well and trusted his judgment without question. If C said it, it had to be true. Killer Bee was defeated. And it was a total defeat. Face to face, he was completely overwhelmed. According to C's account, it seemed that Haru Uchiha had deliberately held back during the fight. Had he unleashed his full power from the start, Killer Bee might have fallen even faster. Haru Uchiha. When did the Uchiha clan produce such a fierce shinobi? The fourth Raikage squinted his eyes, imagining what a confrontation between himself and Haru Uchiha would look like. As the fourth Raikage, his strength was certainly not to be underestimated. Whether physical prowess or ninjutsu, he had profound mastery. But if he had to choose, he preferred to settle conflicts with physical combat. That raw, face-to-face clash of muscle and skill was more straightforward and suited his temperament better. His physical prowess was arguably the best in the Hidden Cloud village. His speed and defense rivaled almost anyone in the entire shinobi world. In pure hand-to-hand combat, Killer Bee wasn't a match for him. Of course, that was Killer Bee in his normal state, not in the full-tailed beast mode. Because the power unleashed in full-tailed beast form was staggering. Even Killer Bee, a perfect Jinchuriki, couldn't fully control it. The fourth Raikage had never fought Killer Bee in full-tailed beast state, so he couldn't say who would win. But he believed that even if he defeated Killer Bee in full-tailed beast form, it would cost him dearly. A bitter victory, leaving no energy left to capture Killer Bee alive. Could this, then, indirectly prove that even the fourth Raikage himself might not be a match for Haru Uchiha? This thought made the fourth Raikage uneasy. But it was fleeting, quickly swept away. As a man of his generation and stature, he had confidence in himself. Until he had seen and fought Haru Uchiha in person, defeat was not something he'd admit. Lord Raikage, B and Sammy are currently in Haru Uchiha's custody. C said. No one can say what will happen to them. Perhaps it's best we first pay the ransom and retrieve B and Sammy as Haru Uchiha demanded, then decide on further actions. Seeing the fourth Raikage remain silent for a long time, C offered the suggestion, emphasizing their immediate priority. It was not how to respond to Haru Uchiha yet. It was to save the hostages first. He dares. The fourth Raikage shouted, his iron palm rising as if ready to strike the table again. Had the desk not been smashed to pieces before, it would have thundered loudly. He squinted, hesitated for a moment, then said to C. For now, we'll follow your advice. Rescue B and Samyu first. Remember. No mistakes this time. Yes, Lord Raikage. C took the order and quickly retreated to prepare. Chapter 92, Setting Sail. Spreading the news. Almost at the same time, news reached the Hidden Leaf village. Usually, shinobi would report updates to the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, or Denzo via special channels every few days. But this time, the reporting day came and went without any word. Noticing the unusual silence, Hiruzen immediately ordered a reconnaissance mission. They found that the once dense forest was nearly razed to the ground. Only faint traces and vague outlines hinted at its former appearance. After an exhaustive search, they barely uncovered a few remnants of bodies. From this, it was clear a brutal battle had taken place. The Leaf shinobi who had accompanied the Uchiha clan on their protection mission had all been killed. No survivors remained. Among the survivors who later emerged from the Uchiha clan were two unfamiliar faces. One was recognized as the perfect Jinchuriki Killer Bee from Hidden Cloud's village. The other was Sammy, who had shined during the Chunin exam several years prior. When this news reached Hidden Leaf village, Hiruzen and Denzo convened to discuss it. The two seasoned leaders quickly grasped the general situation. The complete devastation of the forest was no accident. There was no doubt it had been caused by Haru Uchiha and Killer Bee. The outcome was equally obvious. Haru Uchiha had defeated Killer Bee. This result did not shock Hiruzen or Denzo. During the recent Uchiha clan massacre, Haru Uchiha had faced 5 Kage-level shinobi simultaneously, and held the upper hand. This included the first and second Hokage, Hashirama and Obirama Senshu, who had been resurrected through the impure world reincarnation technique. Immortal, indestructible, and brimming with chakra. It wasn't that Killer Bee was weak. A perfect Jinchuriki might dominate most opponents. But facing Haru Uchiha was a different matter. It would be strange if Killer Bee emerged unscathed. From what was known, Haru Uchiha had completely shattered the plans of Hidden Cloud's village and captured both the perfect Jinchuriki Killer Bee and Samui. This outcome was deeply satisfying. Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Cloud's village had always been rivals. Especially in recent years, Hidden Leaf Village's strength had waned due to various setbacks. Meanwhile, Hidden Cloud's village had grown stronger and long coveted the title of the strongest ninja village. Now, seeing Hidden Cloud's village suffer such a significant blow, Hiruzen and Denzo allowed themselves a rare moment of smug satisfaction. Though they lost some shinobi during the mission, it was negligible compared to Hidden Cloud's village's losses. It was an acceptable cost. However, this incident could not be overlooked. Hidden Leaf Village's shinobi had been killed on Land of Fire territory. If they failed to demand an explanation, Hidden Leaf Village's reputation would be irreparably damaged. So on the day the news arrived, Denzo and Hiruzen agreed to send one of Hidden Leaf Village's most famous copy ninja, Kakashi Hatake, to Hidden Cloud's village to confront the Raikage. The Hidden Cloud village had just suffered a major setback and, having been the aggressor initially, probably lacked the confidence to challenge Hidden Leaf Village now. As for why Kakashi was chosen, the reasons were simple. First, Kakashi's abilities were outstanding. Whether in personal combat or strategy, he was more than capable of handling such a delicate mission. Second, Hidden Leaf Village wanted to taunt Hidden Cloud's village. The Hidden Cloud village had gone to great lengths to discover that an ordinary ninja could transplant the Sharingan and thus wield its terrifying power. Was that why they had tried so hard to obtain a pair of Sharingan? Hidden Leaf Village intended to send Kakashi to show the fourth Raikage what it truly meant to possess the Sharingan. Elsewhere, in a dimly lit cave, only a flickering candle illuminated the space. A masked man stood with his back turned, hands behind him. White Zetsu was reporting the recent conflict between Hidden Cloud's village and the Uchiha clan. Since witnessing the Uchiha clan massacre, the masked man had become increasingly aware of how extraordinary Haru Uchiha was. Beyond his immense strength, Haru always seemed unpredictable. Such a shinobi, if recruited, would be a tremendous asset. But if turned against him, Haru would become a significant threat. Unfortunately, Haru was not someone easily controlled. The masked man could only try to win his favor slowly. Using force? Only as a last resort, the trump card would be employed. This was the masked man's greatest headache. Therefore, he ordered White Zetsu to gather detailed intelligence on the Uchiha clan but hold off for now. There was still much time before his plan's implementation. No need to rush. Understood. The masked man replied in his low, majestic voice. After hearing White Zetsu's report, he said nothing further on the matter. The feud between Hidden Cloud's village and the Uchiha clan was irrelevant to him. What truly caught his attention was another matter. Are you saying the Eight Tails Jinchuriki is now in Haru Uchiha's hands? The masked man asked. Yes. White Zetsu confirmed. Go negotiate and see if we can retrieve the Eight Tails Jinchuriki. This is of utmost importance to us. The masked man's voice was firm and authoritative. His Akatsuki organization was still in its infancy, assembling personnel and suffering from a shortage of manpower. Next came the accumulation of resources and power. Only after these stages would they move to the final objective, capturing the tailed beasts. Though that step was still far off, securing the Eight Tails now would be a considerable advantage. Understood. White Zetsu replied. After a brief pause, the masked man asked again. The Uchiha clan is heading to the Land of Water? Yes. White Zetsu confirmed. From the route the Uchiha clan had taken, their destination was clear. The Land of Water. The masked man muttered under his breath, frowning beneath his mask as a vague sense of foreboding settled over him. Long ago, he had used his Mangekyo Sharingan to manipulate the Mizukage, thereby exerting control over the entire Land of Water. Now, in the early stages of Akatsuki's formation, the Land of Water was the largest territory he controlled. If Haru Uchiha entered that domain, wouldn't it ruin all his efforts? The masked man pondered silently. From one perspective, it would be best to simply prevent Haru Uchiha from entering the Land of Water. But what if there was another way? What if, under his influence, the Land of Water accepted the Uchiha clan? Just like Hidden Leaf Village had once done? He could turn the Uchiha clan into a family of the Hidden Mist Village. Though some obstacles existed, controlling the Mizukage made it feasible. By doing so, he could control the entire Uchiha clan. And Haru Uchiha himself. Through the Mizukage's influence. Indirectly, he could bend Haru Uchiha to his will. If all went smoothly, he might succeed in recruiting Haru to his side. But the idea was quickly dismissed. No. It wouldn't work, not even as a long shot. It was far too difficult to keep such a scheme hidden from Haru Uchiha. After all, Haru possessed a pair of eyes identical to the masked man's own Sharingan. If careless, the plan would be exposed immediately. The ideal scenario was simply impossible. Moreover, the masked man recognized that Haru Uchiha was ambitious, unwilling to bow to anyone. Allowing such a person to reside in the land of water was akin to planting a bomb in his own house. Too dangerous. It could not be allowed. Having made his decision, the masked man said to White Zetsu. Additionally, inform the land of water that Haru Uchiha must not be allowed to enter their territory. Yes. White Zetsu acknowledged the order, then let out a grim chuckle. Slowly, he sank into the ground, disappearing without a trace. After the Raikage's forces withdrew, Haru Uchiha resumed his journey with the Uchiha clan toward the land of water. A day later, they entered the land of whirlpools. The final land before reaching the land of water itself. From here, they would have to rely solely on waterways, drifting across the sea. So preparations were necessary. Along the coast of the land of whirlpools, merchants frequently traveled for trade. Here, anything could be purchased for the right price. Having amassed considerable funds from Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village, the Uchiha clan was far from short on money. Shopping along the way cost a fortune and wasted precious time. Yet, the journey remained peaceful. Except for occasional shadows spying from afar, no one dared attack them like before. This was thanks to the previous devastating battle between Haru Uchiha and Killer Bee. Even the perfect Jinchuriki of Hidden Clouds Village had fallen. Others, no matter how brave, would think twice before challenging them. Thus, Haru Uchiha safely brought the Uchiha clan members to the land of Whirlpool's port. Without hesitation, Haru spent a huge sum to purchase a large wooden ship. Enough to carry all clan members aboard. Since they had the means, they might as well enjoy it. Additionally, Haru hired experienced sailors and captains to navigate the vessel. After all, the Uchiha clan had long lived in Hidden Leaf Village. An inland village far from the sea. Few among them were familiar with the ocean, let alone sailing. Without skilled navigators, they would be lost at sea, unable to find the land of water. Therefore, hiring captains and sailors was essential. With everything ready, Haru Uchiha led the clan out to sea. Chapter 93, You Need to Pay More. The days at sea dragged on, dull and monotonous. This was especially true after the initial novelty had worn off. Facing the endless ocean all day, no matter where one looked, the scenery remained nearly the same. If anyone wanted to move around, the cramped space on the ship made it tedious and frustrating. On top of that, several Uchiha clan members began experiencing seasickness. Loss of appetite, nausea, and vomiting. Most affected were the women who did not know ninjutsu and the children who had yet to learn any. Their bodies were generally weak, unaccustomed to the sea or life on a boat. Such reactions were common. If a medical ninja had been present, even a Chunin level 1, these symptoms could have been treated quickly. Unfortunately, the Uchiha clan did not have a single medical ninja among them. Those suffering simply had to endure and adjust on their own, which was miserable. No medical ninja. Haru Uchiha thought grimly. This problem had never surfaced before. Once they settled, it would have to be addressed. In missions and war, medical ninjas were vital. With them, injured teammates could receive immediate care. Perhaps crude, but often life-saving. Such care increased survival rates and the chances of success. For a clan to truly thrive, it needed talents in all areas. Medical ninjas were indispensable. The Uchiha clan, as dignified as it is, doesn't even have a medical ninja. Before Haru could well further, a sharp voice interrupted. He glanced sideways to see Sammy. Life on the ship was dull and the conditions less than ideal. Especially the lower hold. Damp, dark, and reeking with a strange odor. Staying there too long could cause illness, even in healthy people. Therefore, most Uchiha stayed on deck, enjoying the breeze and sun. Killer Bee and Sammy, both captives, were also held on the deck. After their previous battle with Haru, Killer Bee's chakra was severely depleted from overusing the 8 tails, leaving him weak and mostly asleep for days. Sammy's cold, arrogant demeanor made her uncommunicative. So it was unexpected when she suddenly spoke up. "What did you say?" Haru stepped before her, looking down. Sammy's figure was striking. Her chest ample and deep, drawing even the usually reserved Haru's gaze. Under his scrutiny, Sammy remained calm, not flustered in the slightest. In fact, she deliberately straightened, showcasing herself confidently. She knew well how her appearance affected men, yet brazenly flaunted it. 2 reasons explain this. 1, Hidden Clouds Village was open about beauty and seldom shy. 2, she trusted that Haru's position and their prior negotiations meant he wouldn't touch her. She fixed her sharp eyes on him and sneered. "I say, it's ridiculous that a clan as large as the Uchiha doesn't even have a medical ninja." This was a rare blow to the pride of the Hidden Cloud Village. Completely defeated by Haru Uchiha, Sammy had been scheming revenge, and now that she had met him, she intended not to let him go so easily. Haru studied her. The first woman he had met with such boldness. She was nothing like Yue Kurenai or Yuja Yuzuki. Interesting. So, you know medical ninjutsu? Haru asked. Samui hesitated, then turned her head away. No. Though among Hidden Cloud's village's best young ninja, she was not an all-rounder. Don't waste your breath. Haru waved his hand. Take her to the lower hold. It's been a long time since I've been down there today. Samui replied coldly. Yes. The Uchiha assigned to guard her obeyed and led Samui away. You. Samui's expression darkened. The damp, chilly lower hold was miserable to imagine. Still, her pride prevented her from complaining to Haru. She was forced away silently, cursing him inwardly. Just as she was about to be taken below, Haru's eyes suddenly flashed, and he stared forward. A white figure slowly rose from the deck below. White Zetsu. Who's there? Capture him. The Uchiha clan ninja on deck swiftly surrounded the intruder. By Haru's order, they subdued him on the spot. He. Don't be so hostile. White Zetsu smiled oddly. We are not enemies. Actually, I am here to negotiate with you. The Uchiha clan. Haru had no doubt about White Zetsu's intentions. From start to finish, White Zetsu never hid his presence. Besides, his combat strength was weak, incapable of causing real harm. Speak. What deal do you want? Haru asked calmly. I heard the Eight Tails Jinchuriki is in your hands. White Zetsu said. Eight Tails Jinchuriki. Upon hearing those 5 words, Samui's ears suddenly perked up. Killer Bee was her teacher. An extraordinary Jinchuriki who held immense significance to the Hidden Cloud village. Now, this strange white figure she had never seen before mentioned the Eight Tails Jinchuriki as soon as he appeared. How could she not pay attention? Haru Uchiha's heart also stirred. He roughly understood what White Zetsu intended. After all, he was a time traveler. He knew full well what the Masked Man and the Akatsuki organization wanted to do. Yet he still did not conceal anything and said, Here in my. That would be great. With a disgusting smile, White Zetsu interrupted, addressing Haru. Mr. Haru Uchiha, I am willing to pay to buy the Eight Tails Jinchuriki from you. Money. The Uchiha clan was currently in disarray. What did they need most? Of course. Money. And according to the intelligence White Zetsu had previously acquired, the agreement between Haru and the Hidden Cloud village was also financial. But he had no idea how much the price would be. Haru Uchiha, you can't agree to him. Samui couldn't help but shout at Haru upon hearing White Zetsu's proposal. You already made an agreement with our Hidden Cloud village. Are you going to go back on your word now? Haru smiled indifferently. In business, the highest bidder wins. That's fair. White Zetsu grinned with satisfaction. Yes, that's fair. You. Haru Uchiha, you're treacherous. Samui's eyes widened, her chest heaving with anger, ready to curse. Before she could, an Uchiha clan member standing beside her cut her off. Are you kidding me? What was Haru's current status in the Uchiha clan? He was not some ordinary prisoner who could be insulted at will. After silencing Samui, the atmosphere fell silent again. Haru then said slowly. How much money are you willing to offer for the Eight Tails Jinchuriki? The Hidden Cloud village's price was no small amount. Don't worry, Mr. Haru Uchiha, you'll be satisfied with our offer. White Zetsu said this with a smile. What worried him most was that Haru might refuse to negotiate at all. Now that Haru was willing to engage, there was nothing left to fear. Long ago, he had learned the bounty prices of certain sacrifices on the black market. He was confident Haru would be pleased with his offer. How about 80 million ryo? Previously, a reward for the Four Tails Jinchuriki had been set at 50 million ryo. He was now offering 80 million ryo outright. Was he afraid Haru wouldn't be satisfied? How much? Before Haru could reply, the clan's great elder asked in surprise. White Zetsu's pride swelled. How could Haru be scared? 80 million ryo was a colossal sum. Hey, he declared proudly. 80 million ryo. His confident demeanor made others chuckle. 80 million ryo. Ha. He said 80 million ryo. Even the Uchiha clan members standing nearby laughed this time. White Zetsu finally sensed something was wrong. 80 million ryo. What was there to be surprised about? Mr. Haru Uchiha, what does this mean? White Zetsu asked, turning to Haru. Too little. Offer more money. Haru replied coldly. Too little? The great elder was stunned. 80 million was still too little? The earlier laughter wasn't because it was too much, but because it was too little? He was confused. Fortunately, 80 million ryo wasn't Haru's final offer. The elder raised the stakes. 100 million? Not enough. 120 million. Still not enough. 130 million. Not enough. Still not enough? This was nearly half of the Akatsuki organization's assets. And it still wasn't enough? An Uchiha clan member nearby smiled and said, "Do you know how much the Hidden Cloud Village promised us? 500 million ryo. 500 million ryo. We can let you take that woman away for just over 100 million ryo. How about it? 500 million." The great elder knew now. His visit this time was a joke. Thankfully, his face had a fixed color. No matter what, it wouldn't change. Otherwise, it would have been obvious that his face had turned blue and red. Samui's heart relaxed as well. Her teacher, Killer Bee, was finally safe. But when she thought about the 500 million ryo, she felt a deep sorrow. This was far beyond any ordinary price. Chapter 94, Meeting Maître Mami. The farce ended here. White Zetsu left in utter embarrassment. The Uchiha clan returned to their dull, monotonous lives. Such days passed without change until the third day. That day was originally clear and breezy. Perfect weather. Everyone, including the captured Killer Bee and Samui, basked in the warm sunlight on the deck. But before they knew it, the thick fog hanging in the air suddenly grew denser, spreading rapidly. Even with the Uchiha clan's Sharingan, it was difficult to penetrate the mist. At this moment, even a fool could tell this was no ordinary fog. Real fog rarely became this thick, nor could it change so suddenly in such a short time. Something was definitely off. The Uchiha clan members immediately fell into disciplined formation, ready for battle. Haru Uchiha stood alone at the bow of the ship. "Outsiders, please leave the land of water. You are not welcome here. Get out of here." A young woman's stern voice echoed from within the thick fog, laced with a hint of menace. Haru remained calm, unsurprised. He had long suspected that it wouldn't be easy for the Uchiha clan to establish roots here. He had no intention of negotiating peace. Not welcome. Then they would beat their way until they were. Haru's eyes suddenly gleamed, a blood-red light flickering within them, exuding a strange, malevolent aura. Wood-style, deep forest emergence. Forming hand seals swiftly, Haru activated his wood-style ninjutsu the moment the confrontation began. From the depths of the water, more than 10 thick vines surged upward at an incredible speed, piercing the surface and twisting through the dense fog. The hidden mist technique was designed to obscure vision over a wide area, especially when combined with water-style chakra, significantly impairing enemy sight, even threatening the Sharingan's effectiveness. However, the Sharingan wielded here was only a basic one. Its effect against Mangekyo Sharingan, or higher, is minimal and nearly negligible. Thus, this seemingly powerful hidden mist technique was mere decoration to Haru, utterly useless against his superior perception. Thanks to his exceptional insight, he had already pinpointed the exact location of the hidden mist shinobi lurking in the shadows. Ah! Shocked and pained cries echoed through the fog. Shortly after, the vines under Haru's command dragged out captured shinobi, one after another. 4 in total. Their skill was average. Only Jonin level. In Haru's grip, they had no chance to resist. You actually. The hidden mist ninjas were stunned. They barely had time to speak before their positions were revealed and they were subdued. No chance for escape or retaliation. Haru stared at the bound shinobi, his blood-red eyes shining brighter. "Where is Maître Mami?" he demanded. My. The 4 hidden mist village shinobi's eyes glazed over, their voices uncertain and hesitant. Clearly, they were under an illusion's influence. Finding Maître Mami was Haru's top priority upon entering the land of water and hidden mist village. Therefore, the moment he arrived, his first question was her whereabouts. He wanted to find Maître Mami. Thanks to his control over Ganjutsu, Haru extracted the information he sought. Then, he ordered his men to escort the captured hidden mist village ninjas away unharmed. No abuse, no killing. After all, these shinobi would remain in hidden mist village's territory, so minimizing conflict was crucial. Of course, if anyone proved reckless enough to risk their life foolishly, Haru would show no mercy. Next, Haru instructed the elder to care for the Uchiha clan members and retreat to a small island approximately 30 nautical miles away. They were to await orders and never advance without his command. Finally, Haru ventured alone into Hidden Mist Village, in the Land of Water. At this time, Hidden Mist Village's leader, the 4th Mizukage Yagura Karatachi, was trapped in a Ganjutsu controlled by the masked man, unconscious and unable to intervene. This was why Hidden Mist Village had fallen into a dark, brutal, and terrifying era. Infamously known as the Village of Blood Mist. Blood Mist. Haru murmured the name under his breath. On his way to find Maître Mami, he witnessed countless families shattered and people mercilessly slaughtered. This devastation was not limited to shinobi. Civilians suffered just as much. Compared to this, although Hidden Leaf Village's higher-ups were corrupt and scheming, the village remained relatively stable. At least civilian safety and social order were somewhat guaranteed. But the Hidden Mist Village was far worse. Haru was known for his ruthlessness. He never hesitated when taking action, and seldom let others' affairs affect his mood. Yet this time, seeing a white-haired old man brutally killed by a vicious shinobi, and a baby helpless in its cradle, stirred something within him. Perhaps it was time for Hidden Mist Village to change. Within Hidden Mist Village, deep in a dense forest, a young female ninja, about 18 or 19 years old, was practicing ninjutsu. Swish. 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 More than 10 kunai flew from her hands with precise accuracy. They flew in all directions, at varying angles and incredible speeds. Tang. Each kunai struck the mark she had carefully set in advance. Even targets positioned at awkward, negative angles were no exception. They were hit with unerring precision. Such mastery of kunai and shuriken techniques was undeniably rare for someone her age. When the female ninja saw that every kunai had landed perfectly, a faint, beautiful arc lifted her fair and handsome face. Clearly, she was very satisfied with this result. However, just as she turned around, preparing to retrieve all the kunai and practice once more, her slender figure suddenly froze. Someone had appeared before her. Without her noticing. A stranger she had never seen before. His body was completely concealed beneath a dark robe, lending him an aura of mystery and an unusual, almost hypnotic allure. He was not very old. Perhaps even younger than her. But his cold eyes were piercing, as if capable of seeing through everything. Yet what caught her gaze most was his face. Astonishingly beautiful. She had never seen such a striking person. His delicate, sculpted features were both handsome and masculine, almost stunning her into silence. If it weren't for the extreme sensitivity of the situation. In recent years, Hidden Mist Village had become almost entirely isolated from the outside world. They had cut off communication with outsiders and were fiercely hostile to any ninja who dared approach. At every entrance around Hidden Mist Village, guards blocked the way to prevent any outsiders from entering. Yet now, such a complete stranger stood before her. No matter how reckless she was not a fool. Something was definitely wrong. Who was the man in front of her? Who are you? The female ninja asked warily, eyes narrowing as she stared at the man before her. The black-robed man remained calm and spoke softly, his voice steady. Uchiha, Haru. It's you. The female ninja blurted out in surprise, then her expression shifted slightly. Haru's eyes flashed sharply. Since entering the Hidden Mist Village, he had deliberately concealed his tracks. With his strength and a powerful perception granted by the eternal Mengekyo Sharingan, he was confident that no one in the Hidden Mist Village had detected him yet. He was absolutely sure of this. Then how did the ninja in front of him know? Do you know me? Haru asked, locking eyes with the female ninja. No. No, I've only heard a little about you. She answered hesitantly. In truth, the moment the words left her lips, she knew she had made a mistake. But her heart was too shocked to control itself. Haru remained calm. Such a clumsy answer was no deception to him. Yet he had lost interest in pressing the matter further. Because he had already pieced it together. Who was truly in control of the Hidden Mist Village now? Who had he encountered on his journey through the Land of Water? Everything became clear with just a little thought. Everything was orchestrated by the masked man lurking behind the scenes. They didn't want him entering the Hidden Mist Village. They could try and stop him. Haru no longer feared the masked man. Not to mention that the Akatsuki organization was still in its infancy, its members incomplete. Even if they were fully assembled, so what? Apart from Nagato, who wielded the Rinnegan, who was strong enough to challenge him. Let them come. He would simply take them on. You are true mummy? After a moment, Haru looked at the female ninja and said. He had hidden his tracks all the way. He wouldn't reveal himself to just any ninja. Unless this ninja was his target. True mummy. But this true mummy was far from the composed and powerful fifth Mizukage she would become in the future. She had not yet endured the many trials ahead, and she appeared somewhat green and inexperienced. Otherwise, she would not have been exposed so early due to a slip of the tongue, allowing him to deduce so much. Yet, for a young ninja under 20, true mummy had done well enough. She knew Haru was their enemy. And he was extremely powerful. She was not capable of dealing with him. But apart from that initial slip, she had remained calm and composed, never panicking. Among the young generation of ninjas Haru had encountered, only a few, such as Itachi Uchiha, Kakashi Hatake, and Samui, had demonstrated such poise. Chapter 95, Deception of the Future Fifth Mizukage. You know me? True mummy's face shifted, growing more serious. For so many years, Hidden Mist Village had been isolated from the outside world. Though she might be somewhat known within Hidden Mist Village, no one beyond the village had ever heard her name. Now, Haru Uchiha spoke it aloud in person. There could be only one conclusion. He had come for her. But why had Haru Uchiha suddenly found her? Don't be afraid, I mean no harm. Haru said lightly. No harm? Maitru Mummy frowned slightly. More than 10 days ago, the fourth Mizukage, Yagura Itachi, had warned that Hidden Mist Village would face a tremendously powerful adversary. Haru Uchiha. If anyone saw a strange ninja around the village, they were instructed not to engage, but to report immediately for countermeasures. Unexpectedly, she had encountered him today. If the fourth Mizukage's warning was true, then with Haru's strength, it would be effortless for him to kill her. Yet, now that he stood before her without attacking, only one reason came to mind. She was useful to him. What do you want? Maitru Mummy asked, voice steady but resolute. If you intend to use me to harm the Hidden Mist Village, I would never agree. Even at the cost of my life. She had lived in the Hidden Mist Village since childhood, filled with affection for everything within it. Though Hidden Mist Village's current state was far from ideal, she would never allow its destruction. This was her home. And she would protect it. Is it really bad for the Hidden Mist Village? Haru chuckled softly, his eyes calm as they met hers. Do you know what the shinobi world now calls your Hidden Mist Village? The Village of the Bloody Mist. For years, the Hidden Mist Village has been shrouded in darkness, chaos, and bloodshed. Not only shinobi but ordinary civilians have suffered. Wives separated from husbands, children torn from families. If I truly wished to destroy the Hidden Mist Village, I could lurk in the shadows and fan the flames of chaos. Everything I wanted would unfold naturally. But that is not my intention. Hearing his words, Maitru Mummy's expression darkened. For so long, the village had anguished in darkness. Those bloody scenes unfolded before her eyes, too close to ignore. Why would anyone need to frame the Hidden Mist Village now? What exactly do you want? And why do you need me? Maitru Mummy asked cautiously. Haru nodded approvingly, recognizing the sharp mind destined to become the fifth Mizukage. In just a few exchanges, she had already grasped his intent. Utilize? Perhaps cooperate is a better term. He met her gaze steadily. Maitru Mummy, tell me. Do you want to change Hidden Mist Village's current state? She blinked in surprise, not expecting such a direct question, but slowly nodded. Yes, she did want that. Of course, she wanted it. Anything to make Hidden Mist Village better. Good. I will help you. I will help you take control of the Hidden Mist Village and become its fifth Mizukage. Haru's voice was calm but carried absolute confidence. He spoke such a shocking statement as though it were nothing more than an ordinary fact. Yet Maitru Mummy's face held no joy, instead, her wariness deepened. Mizukage. Of course she wanted to be one. Just as every young and promising ninja in Hidden Leaf Village dreamed of becoming Hokage, becoming Mizukage was her aspiration. But to achieve it with the help of Haru Uchiha. Why would he help her? Was he planning to control the entire Hidden Mist Village through her? Or did he have some other purpose? Countless concerns flashed through her mind. Yet outwardly, she remained composed. No need for that. Aware of the potential risks, Maitru Mummy declined Haru's offer. To become Mizukage, I will rely on my own strength, not the aid of others. Besides, our fourth Mizukage is still in his prime. I doubt there will be a successor for at least another decade. Is it premature to even talk about Mizukage succession now? Hey. Haru chuckled. The fourth Mizukage? Maitru Mummy, you're smart. You must have sensed something strange about the fourth Mizukage. To be honest, the current fourth Mizukage is no longer the man he once was. The one who holds that title now is merely a puppet, controlled by someone else's illusion. What? Maitru Mummy's expression hardened as she scolded. You're talking nonsense. Our fourth Mizukage is the Three-Tails Jinchuriki. Who could possibly control him? Stop with the nonsense. I don't believe a word of it. Oh? Is that so? Haru Uchiha said calmly. Think carefully about when the fourth Mizukage began to change. I have no reason to lie to you. You can believe me or not. Right now, it's you who needs me, not the other way around. Now, you can leave at any time and discover the truth for yourself. During this process, I promise not to interfere until you've uncovered everything. When you need my help, you can come back to find me. Maitru Mummy was still deep in thought when the figure before her vanished in the blink of an eye. Haru Uchiha, who had just stood in front of her, disappeared completely. She remained frozen, still clutching her kunai, as if the encounter had never happened. Only her pounding heart and lingering fear proved that it was real. She exhaled slowly, brows furrowed tightly, her mind tangled with indecision. 3 choices lay before her. The first, dismiss everything as an illusion and ignore it completely. Pretend it never happened and that it had nothing to do with her. But she quickly discarded this option. How could she simply turn a blind eye to what had just occurred right before her eyes? She couldn't. The second choice, report the encounter with Haru Uchiha to the Hidden Mist Village, so the village could prepare for the powerful enemy. After that, whatever happened would be out of her hands. She would do whatever the fourth Mizukage ordered. As a shinobi of Hidden Mist Village, this seemed the most reasonable choice. After all, why trust an outsider over her own Mizukage? It made sense. At least on the surface. Yet Maitru Mummy hesitated. Finally, she chose the third option, investigate the fourth Mizukage's situation herself to see if Haru's claim was true. That the fourth Mizukage was controlled by someone else. She had her reasons. When Yagura Karatachi first became Mizukage, Hidden Mist Village was not the village of the bloody mist that the outside world now called it. Instead, it was stable, harmonious, and prosperous. Everything seemed to be moving in a better direction. Then, during the Third Great Ninja War, the fourth Mizukage's temperament suddenly changed, and everything shifted. At first, few thought much of it. People change. Especially after a brutal war like that. So although the fourth Mizukage's changes were dramatic, no one doubted him. Even after a series of dark and brutal policies were enacted, suspicion was minimal. The fourth Mizukage was powerful. And as the Three Tails Jinchuriki, who in the shinobi world dared to challenge him. It was simply unthinkable. But now, Haru's words rang in Maitru Mummy's mind. Though it seemed impossible, could the fourth Mizukage truly be controlled by someone else? That thought lingered, urging her toward a final decision. She wanted to find out for herself. But testing the truth didn't mean accepting Haru's help. For Maitru Mummy. And for Hidden Mist Village. Whoever controlled the fourth Mizukage was an enemy. And the sudden appearance of Haru Uchiha was no guarantee of goodwill. Raised in Hidden Mist Village. The village of the Bloody Mist. Maitru Mummy was no naive girl. She was talented, level-headed, and capable, even at a young age. She knew how to act in dangerous situations and what the right choices were. Hidden Mist Village's affairs should be solved by its own people. Not reliant on outsiders. Only then could the village's fate truly be in its own hands. After deciding, Maitru Mummy exhaled deeply and picked up the scattered kunai. Then she began walking toward the village. If she wanted to test Haru's claims, she had to see the truth with her own eyes. Of course, her abilities alone wouldn't suffice. She needed a trustworthy ally. Someone capable enough to help. Still, she hoped it was all just her imagination. If the fourth Mizukage truly was controlled by another, Hidden Mist Village, and perhaps the entire shinobi world, faced a catastrophic upheaval. As she hurried to the village entrance, Maitru Mummy glanced back. Her mind was still clouded with doubts. Haru Uchiha. She was a smart woman. She would never underestimate a clever man like him. He obviously understood what she was thinking. And what choice she might make. Yet he had left the decision entirely to her and promised not to interfere. Was he truly confident she would come back to him when she needed help? Chapter 96, The Kaguya Clan. Shikatsu Yaku. The Kaguya clan is one of the major families in the Hidden Mist Village, their standing comparable to that of the Uchiha clan in the Hidden Leaf Village. Though no one from the clan has ever held the title of Mizukage, their status has remained high throughout history. Since the founding of the Hidden Mist Village, they have been the foremost clan in the village. This is due entirely to their overwhelming power. More specifically, their unique KK Genkai, Shikatsu Yaku, the corpse bone pulse. The Kaguya clan can manipulate their own bones as deadly weapons, both offensively and defensively. They have complete control over the bones in their bodies. From osteoblast activity to calcium levels. Allowing them to generate, dissolve, and harden bones at will. In battle, these bones become piercing spears or impenetrable shields. Their offense and defense are both exceptional, making them formidable opponents on any battlefield. For over a century, the Kaguya clan maintained their elite status within the Hidden Mist Village due to their fearsome bloodline limit. However, not long after the Third Great Ninja War, everything began to change. Damn it. We can't go on like this. The people of Hidden Mist Village need to see how powerful we really are. Inside the home of the Kaguya clan head, several key elders of the clan were gathered, heatedly discussing recent events. These past few years, the fourth Mizukage has gone mad, targeting all clans with bloodline limits throughout the Land of Water. The only reason he hasn't dared move against us is because the Kaguya clan is still too strong for him to crush easily. But at this rate, it's only a matter of time. Other bloodline clans are being eliminated one by one. We're next on the list. We can't sit here waiting to die. If we must perish, let's go down fighting. A middle-aged shinobi in his 30s slammed his fist into the floor in frustration. That's right, clan head. When has the Kaguya clan ever backed down? If we die with honor. To hell with them. Those bastards from the Hidden Mist Village. We'll make them remember the power of the Kaguya. We're not a clan you can mess with. The nearby Kaguya shinobi all voiced their rage. The Kaguya are a warrior clan. Their thoughts are straightforward, without much scheming or diplomacy. If people treat them with respect, they respond in kind. But if you cross them, they will not forgive you. They don't bluff or hesitate. Once they decide to act, they commit fully. For years, the Kaguya have swallowed their pride under the oppressive rule of the fourth Mizukage. And the only reason they've tolerated it this long is because of their clan head. Though the Kaguya are known for their aggression and bloodlust, they also respect strength. The current clan head is the most powerful member of the Kaguya today. He holds absolute authority. A man in his 40s, with hair as white as snow, dark green eyes with a mysterious glow, and 2 red markings between his brows. Unlike the typical hot-tempered Kaguya, he exudes calm and intelligence. He stood still, fingers tapping rhythmically against the table, deep in thought. The situation was clear. Once the fourth Mizukage finished eliminating the other bloodline clans, their own Kaguya clan would be next. There was no avoiding it. But should they launch a rebellion now? What were the odds of success? Even with their strength, the Kaguya couldn't match the full might of the hidden mist village. What was the right move? Just then, a soft chuckle echoed through the room. Hey! Is this all the Kaguya clan amounts to? Weak and vulnerable? The voice was faint, distant, and surreal. Yet at the same time, it sounded as if it were whispered directly into their ears. Who's there? The gathered Kaguya shinobi sprang up, scanning the room with sharp eyes, searching for the source of the voice. The topic of their meeting was extremely sensitive. If any of it leaked, the consequences would be catastrophic for the entire clan. They couldn't afford even the smallest breach. And yet, they were too late. A man stepped out from the shadows at the far end of the table, as though he had been there all along. His expression was cold. His robe was black as night. And his eyes, blood red, spinning. The hidden mist village had long since ceased to regard the Kaguya clan as their own. Because of this, even the head of the Kaguya clan remained completely unaware of matters that Maître Umami had knowledge of. But ignorance didn't cloud judgment. The moment Haru Uchiha appeared, the Kaguya clan leader immediately ordered. Capture him. Their secret had been overheard. Whoever this man was, he couldn't be allowed to leave. In an instant, every member of the Kaguya clan present, excluding Haru Uchiha, launched themselves at him. Those seated at this table were not ordinary clan members. They were elites, the best of the Kaguya clan. In other clans, high status didn't always mean great strength. For instance, the Uchiha clan's elder might hold a lofty title but wasn't necessarily strong enough to command true respect. Many younger Uchiha could defeat him easily. But the Kaguya clan was different. They were warriors. Their strength was their rank. Among them, the clan head held absolute authority. And was also the strongest. The rest of the elites all held key positions within the clan, earned through martial prowess. So those qualified to discuss rebellion with the clan leader were not just strategists. They were battle-hardened veterans. The moment they moved, their power was undeniable. Fast, aggressive, and unrelenting. Their fighting style was as brutal as it was effective. The Shikatsu Myaku, their Kekkei Genkai, transformed their own bones into weapons. Jagged spears of calcium and hardened armor of marrow. In taijutsu, they thrived. Flesh met fist, bone met blade. That was the Kaguya way. Wood style, deep forest emergence. Facing their sudden assault, Haru Uchiha calmly performed a set of rapid hand seals. The speed of his movements blurred, almost dazzling in complexity. Even as the Kaguya warriors leaped midair to strike, he completed the final seal. The wooden floor beneath their feet erupted. Twisting vines shot upward like serpents, coiling around their limbs with predatory precision. Before they could land a single blow, they were tangled and hoisted aloft, immobilized and hanging. Humphrey. The Kaguya clan leader narrowed his eyes, a flicker of surprise showing on his otherwise impassive face. That ninjutsu. That Kekkei Genkai. Wood style. A power spoken of in legend. A bloodline that had long vanished with the first Hokage. The suspended warriors struggled, muscles bulging as they fought the vines. But these were no ordinary plants. They were supple, yet iron strong. Natural chakra constructs capable of strangling even the likes of Shimura Denzo. Rage. Snarling in fury, the warriors activated their Shikatsu Myaku. Their skin cracked, and pale bone spurs tore through flesh and muscle, jutting outward like brutal thorns. The sharpened bone shredded cloth, flesh, and the wooden tendrils that bound them. Creaking sounds echoed. The vines, though durable, began to split. Oh? Haru tilted his head, an amused smirk playing across his lips. Shikatsu Myaku. Fascinating. Snap. The first vine gave way, then the next. One by one, the Kaguya elites tore themselves free. Landing heavily on the ground, Their eyes blazed with fury. They prepared to charge again. Until the clan leader barked. "Stand down." "Why?" The warriors turned toward him in protest. It wasn't just that Haru had overheard their plans. He had bound them. Humiliated them. Before they'd even touched the ground. For warriors like the Kaguya, this was more than defeat. It was disgrace. They burned with the need to avenge it. But the clan leader's voice cut through their bloodlust. "I said back off. Don't ask why. If he meant to kill you, would he have given you time to break free? You are no match for him." But they wanted to protest further, but an order from the clan head was absolute. Even in their frustration, they could not disobey. With clenched fists and stormy glares, they stepped back, positioning themselves behind the clan head. They did not sheath their bone blades. Their eyes still locked onto Haru with pure hostility. The Kaguya clan leader took a few slow steps forward. His expression was composed, but his voice carried the weight of authority. "You came all the way to the Kaguya clan. Just to eavesdrop. Who are you? And why are you here?" Haru Uchiha stood unflinching, robes rippling slightly with his movement. His Sharingan eyes, deep crimson and swirling with tomoe, bore into the man before him. "Haru Uchiha," he said simply. Chapter 97, Support the Puppet. Select the target. "Uchiha. Is he from the Uchiha clan of Hidden Leaf Village?" asked the head of the Kaguya clan, frowning. Although the Land of Water was far removed from the mainland and its news flow restricted, they still knew of Hidden Leaf Village's infamous Uchiha clan. During the past Ninja World Wars, they had clashed with them countless times. Formidable warriors with a powerful Kekkei Genkai and a bloodline that commanded respect, even from enemies. Hidden Leaf Village's Hidden Leaf Village. The Uchiha are the Uchiha. Haru Uchiha corrected the clan leader bluntly. The Uchiha he represented had long severed ties with Hidden Leaf Village. "Oh?" The Kaguya patriarch arched an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. It seemed that much had changed in the outside world during the time their land remained isolated under the tyrannical regime of Yagura Karatachi. But this wasn't the time to press for details. He focused instead on the young man before him. Haru Uchiha radiated a dangerous aura that couldn't be ignored. "Why are you here?" he asked, his tone cautious yet alert. He had a hunch that this Uchiha wasn't here by accident. He hadn't killed any of the Kaguya elite who had just attempted to ambush him. Instead, he had allowed them to retreat. Observing them rather than exterminating them. That didn't align with hostility. If anything, it suggested potential alliance. "I want to help you rebel," Haru said, straightforward and without the slightest hesitation. If he wanted to establish a foothold in the Land of Water, relying solely on Maitru Mummy would be a mistake. She was too young. Her strength and political capital weren't enough to challenge the established power structure. Even if she exposed Yagura's manipulation by an outside force and earned massive credit, the seat of Mizukage would likely still fall to someone older, someone more qualified. That wasn't an outcome Haru could accept. To secure Maitru Mummy's ascension, he needed an ally. Someone powerful, influential, but not politically ambitious enough to threaten her future rule. Someone who could sway a faction within Hidden Mist Village while remaining outside the direct line of succession. That person was the head of the Kaguya clan. Haru had thought this through. First, the Kaguya were the most prominent bloodline clan in the Hidden Mist Village. Shikatsu Yaku, or Corpse Bone Pulse, was a rare and terrifying Kekkei Genkai. Proof enough of their overwhelming strength. Second, the Kaguya were politically sidelined. Like the Uchiha in Hidden Leaf Village, no matter how powerful they were, they would never be allowed to hold the title of Mizukage. Neither the elders nor the populace would accept it. That meant they posed no threat to Maitru Mummy's ambitions. And most importantly, under Yagura Karatachi's violent, isolationist regime, all bloodline clans were marked for extinction. The Kaguya had two options: remain passive and be purged like the others, or rise in rebellion. They needed to choose now. Before Yagura turned his attention fully on them. Waiting meant certain death. Fighting meant a slim chance at survival. On their own, the Kaguya had no chance of defeating one of the 5 great shinobi villages. But with help. Maybe. And Haru was the help they desperately needed. "Help us?" The Kaguya leader's tone was skeptical. "Why? Why should we believe you're here to help? What's in it for you?" No one in this world acted without motivation. There was no such thing as a free favor. Especially not in the ninja world. What did this Uchiha expect to gain? Did he want something from the Kaguya? Was he laying a trap? Was this all just a delay tactic so he could alert the authorities? The weight of the decision settled on the clan leader like a ton of stone. He had to be sure. One wrong move and his entire clan would be wiped out. Haru narrowed his eyes. Didn't people say the Kaguya were all muscle and no brains? Where was that supposed idiocy now? These questions were annoyingly reasonable. If I wanted to destroy the Kaguya, Haru said coldly, I wouldn't need to waste time talking. I could have killed all of you in seconds. His voice dropped, a blade of ice in his throat. You have two choices. Submit or die. What? You arrogant brat. The Kaguya warriors, already incensed, could take no more. Old grudges flared. Insult and threat merged into fury, and they attacked. Ready to silence the outsider who dared look down on them. They had been holding back earlier. They hadn't used Shikatsu-myaku. But now they would show him. Or so they thought. As they lunged, bone spears erupting from their bodies like jagged weapons of war, Haru didn't even blink. Just as several Kaguya warriors prepared to attack, they were abruptly halted by the clan leader's outstretched arm. Others might not have noticed anything unusual. But the head of the Kaguya clan did. The Uchiha youth standing before them held a strength that defied comprehension. He wasn't someone ordinary shinobi could handle. Not even the seasoned elites at his side. In the Kaguya clan. Or even across the entire Hidden Mist village. Those warriors were regarded as top-tier fighters. And yet, they had been subdued in an instant. All of them. Simultaneously. It wasn't a coincidence. No matter how many times they tried, the result would be the same. The Kaguya patriarch stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with something primal. He spoke calmly, but his words struck with force. Let me fight him. Unlike the other Kaguya clan members, known for their impulsive nature and brute force, the clan head was calm, measured, and cunning. But that didn't mean he had abandoned the bloodlust embedded in his lineage. On the contrary. He had simply learned to restrain it. To bury it beneath a cool exterior. There simply hadn't been anyone worthy of unleashing it on. Until now. Until he met Haru Uchiha. A fellow bearer of a rare and powerful bloodline. A shinobi whose strength was immeasurable. The dormant flame in his heart roared to life. Battle lust. Behind him, several elite Kaguya shinobi smiled with wicked glee when they heard their clan leader speak. They understood what it meant when the patriarch decided to take the field personally. It meant the enemy was truly formidable. And it also meant they were about to witness something glorious. And terrifying. They knew all too well the terrifying might buried within their leader. In their eyes, once he stepped forward, the outcome was already sealed. There was a time, during the Third Great Ninja War. The Kaguya leader said, his voice rough with nostalgia. When I clashed with many from the Uchiha clan. Their strength left a deep impression on me. And I still miss the sound of Uchiha bones breaking. The stench of their blood. His gaze fixed on Haru, and the mask of calm was replaced by a twisted, bloodthirsty grin. Slowly, he peeled off the white robe draped over his upper body, revealing a thick, muscular frame rippling with power. Hey, Uchiha. You'll regret stepping into our territory. His pupils widened. Madness flaring in his eyes. Bloodlust pulsed through him. Then, his body began to shift. With a sickening sound, bone spurs erupted from beneath his skin. From his hands, his arms, his chest. His entire frame was bristling with sharpened ivory white spikes. Far more than the warriors who had tried. And failed. To subdue Haru Uchiha. These bones were denser, sharper, and visibly more refined. Like all KK Genkai, mastery of Shikatsu-myaku. The Kaguya clan's corpse bone pulse. Varied greatly from individual to individual. Just as not all Uchiha could awaken Sharingan, and only a handful reached its peak. The Mangekyo. So too did the Kaguya differ in their affinity and control over their bloodline ability. This man. This monster. Was clearly the apex of his clan. His entire body became a fortress of ivory spears. It would be nearly impossible for an average shinobi to even land a blow, let alone wound him. He was a walking weapon. Built for war. Hey. The clan head smirked, reaching behind his back and drawing out a massive bone spear. It wasn't like the others. A meter-long jagged blade, shaped like a ninja sword, and far harder than steel. It was the densest, strongest bone in his body. The kind of weapon only he could wield. The hunt begins now. With a roar, he shot forward. Bone blade in hand. Charging at Haru with blinding speed. He moved like a wraith, flickering across the battlefield with impossibly fast teleportation jutsus. Each leap brought him closer, his presence like a crashing wave of killing intent. His speed rivaled that of Killer Bee before the Eight Tails transformation. Except worse. Killer Bee had 7 swords. This man had 1,000. Growing from every inch of his body. He was the embodiment of death in close quarters. But Haru was ready. Wood style, deep forest emergence. The same jutsu he had used before erupted from the ground. Dozens of thick, living vines burst forth, twisting and snapping toward the Kaguya clan head like a swarm of serpents. Swish. 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 The vines surged like a tidal wave. But the clan leader didn't stop. He twirled the massive bone blade in a wide arc, carving through the incoming vines with graceful, deadly movements. His blade sang through the air. Slash after slash. It was almost beautiful. The way he moved. Balanced, elegant, fluid. Was like a macabre dance of war. But beneath that elegance was overwhelming bloodlust. Snap. 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 The thick vines that had previously overwhelmed several Kaguya elites were nothing now. They shattered on contact with his attacks. Torn to pieces as if made of paper. The Kaguya leader moved forward, carving his way through the forest of vines as if it were nothing. With each step, he closed the gap between him and Haru. Chapter 98, Everyone Here is Garbage. Wood Style, Great Forest Technique. Haru Uchiha formed a series of hand seals, and more than 10 thick vines burst forth from his arms like snakes springing from a den. These branches, conjured by advanced wood style, were several times tougher and more durable than the previous vines summoned through wood style, deep forest emergence. On the night of the Uchiha clan's massacre, this technique alone had driven the elite of the root organization into a corner, forcing them to rely on the Forbidden Eye Izanagi to survive. Now, the head of the Kaguya clan stood against the same technique, and yet his expression remained unfazed. Just like before. With fluid, rhythmic sweeps of the bone sword in his hand, he cleaved through the vines effortlessly. Steel hard and previously unbreakable, the vines snapped apart with the same clean, precise arcs. No hesitation. No strain. No difference. Such a blade. Such bone. Was terrifying. Shikatsu Yaku. Fascinating. Haru muttered, lips curling into a faint smile. He remembered vividly drawing this bloodline ability during his simulation. The brutal elegance, the sheer deadliness of it. And now, to see it again, wielded to such deadly effect by another. How could he not be intrigued? Still, the bloodline inherited by this Kaguya clan leader, while impressive, was incomplete. It lacked the ultimate evolution of the Shikatsu Yaku. A shame. The Kaguya leader darted forward, and in a split second, he was on Haru. A gleam of pride flashed in the man's eyes. He had absolute faith in his taijutsu, and rightfully so. Backed by his KK Genkai, the bone manipulation of Shikatsu Yaku, no ordinary shinobi could withstand him in close quarters. From the side, the other Kaguya clansmen began grinning in anticipation. They knew what was coming. In the Third Great Ninja War, they had seen this scene play out countless times. Their clan leader would get close. Just once. And that would be the end of the battle. Bodies would be impaled on bone spurs, blood gushing, flesh tearing. Death swift and final. But this time, something unexpected happened. The smug smiles froze on their faces. Because in that crucial instant, the black-robed man vanished. All that remained were after-images, flickering and warping with dizzying speed. He didn't simply move fast. No, even the Kaguya clan leader, who had trained to sense and exploit movement, couldn't track it. It was like Haru flickered between reality and illusion. The Kaguya leader stabbed 3 times in rapid succession. Each strike precise, each one a kill shot. Each time, he struck nothing. Every target he hit dissipated into shimmering illusion. All after-images. Not a single real body. Unbelievable. A flicker of disbelief crossed the Kaguya leader's face. In all his years of brutal, blood-soaked combat, he had never encountered something like this. He was certain he had struck flesh, that his blades had pierced through. But nothing. No resistance. No blood. No impact. Just illusion. High above, Haru glided smoothly, switching seamlessly between reality and shadow. Watching. Analyzing. Waiting for a flaw. It would be false to say the Kaguya leader was weak. On the contrary, he was a Kage-level threat. And not just any Kage level. Among the elite. Especially in taijutsu. With the power of Shikatsu Yaku, he held a deadly advantage. He might even surpass Killer Bee in close combat. Of course, this referred to the version of Killer Bee before he transformed into his tailed beast state. But none of it mattered. Because he was facing Haru Uchiha. Someone who stood above Kage level. A being who stood at the threshold of Super Kage. Someone who could destroy from afar with wood style. Who could trap the mind with his Sharingan illusions. Who could obliterate with a single strike from the 80 gods vacuum attack. But Haru didn't use any of those. Because he didn't need them. Because the Kaguya clan was a warrior clan. Bloodlust and battlelust ran through their veins. To conquer them, defeat wasn't enough. You had to crush them. To bring them to heel, you had to outdo them in the only thing they valued, taijutsu. And so, Haru would beat their strongest member at the one thing they held sacred. Combat. When the Kaguya clan leader thrust and missed, revealing a brief opening, Haru surged downward. His heels struck like thunder. Boom. The Kaguya leader crashed into the earth, a plume of dust erupting around him. Yet, no sooner did he hit the ground than he sprang back up. Undeterred. Relentless. Bone blade gleaming, he attacked again. Haru blurred. Teleportation jutsu. Once more, only phantoms remained. Phantom. Phantom. Still a phantom. No matter how the Kaguya clan leader attacked, the result was always the same. He couldn't land a single hit on Haru Uchiha. Haru seized every opening to strike back, delivering blow after blow. And although the Kaguya patriarch's Shikatsu Miyako protected him from injury, the whole scene was undeniably humiliating. He attacked relentlessly, only to be knocked down again and again, as though he were utterly powerless. The Kaguya clan members watching from the sidelines were overwhelmed by despair. He was right there. Right in front of them. So close. And yet he couldn't be touched. How the hell do you fight that? Even the Kaguya patriarch himself began to grow irritated. Still, he forced himself to remain calm, quietly analyzing the situation. A battle between shinobi isn't decided by power alone. Experience, adaptability, situational awareness. These also shape the outcome. Every time he stabbed, it turned out to be a phantom. And those he didn't strike? They were the real body. It couldn't be coincidence. The Kaguya patriarch narrowed his eyes, gripping his bone spear tighter, his mind whirring. He had more than enough experience fighting powerful enemies to recognize patterns others would miss. After several exchanges, he reached a terrifying realization. It wasn't that he kept stabbing the wrong one. It was that every time he stabbed, that target was guaranteed to be a phantom. And the ones he didn't stab? Always real. This wasn't probability. This wasn't bad luck. This was fact. When Haru Uchiha activated this jutsu, it rendered him untouchable. What an absurd technique. The Kaguya patriarch was reminded of a terrifying figure from the Third Great Ninja War. A name that haunted veterans across all 5 nations. Shizue of the Body Flicker. He had turned that war zone into a nightmare with his mastery of the teleportation jutsu. So fast, so elusive, even elite jonin couldn't react. He would appear, land a fatal blow, and vanish again, leaving only blood behind. Now, someone else had mastered this technique. Or perhaps something even more refined. But that wasn't the point now. What mattered was, how the hell do you break it? Every major village had studied teleportation jutsu after Shizue's rampage. Their conclusion? It couldn't be countered with ninjutsu. That was the bitter truth hidden behind the infamous war slogan, if you see Shizue of the Body Flicker, run. The farther the better. Unbreakable ninjutsu, huh? TCH. What a pain in the ass. The Kaguya patriarch's expression grew grim. If it couldn't be broken by jutsu, then he'd have to try another way. Bang. He was knocked to the ground again. But this time, he didn't spring up immediately. He rose slowly, deliberately, with an expression of mockery twisting his face. Haru Uchiha. Is that all you've got? Besides running, what can you even do? Your punches are so soft, even the women in my clan hit harder. Got the balls to face me head on? Or is that too much for a pampered Uchiha prince? A crude provocation. Obvious to anyone with a brain. A desperate tactic from someone who had no other options. And yet, despite how blatant it was, it just might work. The more obvious a strategy, the more likely it is to bait a response. Especially against someone like Haru Uchiha. Young, proud, powerful. He was like a newly forged sword. Razor sharp. Deadly. But also easily drawn. Kaguya wasn't betting that Haru wouldn't see through the trick. He was betting that even if he did, he'd still rise to it. And when Haru smiled faintly in reply, he knew he'd taken the bait. You want a real fight? Fine. He wasn't acting out of rage. Not even close. Haru agreed because he had the strength to back it up. He could beat the Kaguya patriarch in every possible way. The Shikatsu Miyako was powerful, yes. But Haru had inherited the complete Otsutsuki physique. In legend, the descendants of Kaguya Otsutsuki split her divine power. The Uchiha and Hyuga took her eyes. The Senju inherited her body. The Uzumaki, her chakra. The Kaguya clan? A fragment of her bone-based techniques. But Haru wasn't a mere descendant. He had the whole package. Speed. Reflexes. Strength. Chakra. Regeneration. Flawless. The Kaguya clan Shikatsu Miyako was just a sliver of Kaguya's might. In Haru's eyes, it was nothing. Chapter 99, The Kaguya clan is nothing more than this. Haru Uchiha used the teleportation jutsu again, but this time, it wasn't for evasion. It was for attack. In the place where Haru Uchiha had been fighting, a trail of afterimages flickered. Visible even to the naked eye. And in the blink of an eye, he was right in front of the Kaguya clan leader. The Kaguya patriarch no longer charged forward recklessly. His momentum shifted, and his half-squinting eyes radiated a cold, calculating calm. He had seen through it. No matter how many times he tried to stab Haru, he only struck after images. None of the phantoms were real. And the real one? Untouchable. Since he couldn't distinguish between real and fake, he decided to do nothing for now. Waiting for Haru Uchiha to initiate. Haru wouldn't waste a phantom to throw a punch. That was almost certain. And if the one attacking him was the real body, that gave him an opportunity to counter. Even if his own strike failed, it was fine. His Shikatsu-myaku, corpse bone pulse, was spread throughout his entire body. Bone spurs sprouted from every joint, the sharpest spears and the toughest shields. They could protect him from any blow. They always had. There should be no surprises. That's what he believed. But what he never expected, what he couldn't have predicted, was that Haru Uchiha hadn't been using his full strength at all. If he had, this battle would have ended in minutes. So the moment the Kaguya Patriarch thought he had figured everything out, Haru's punch smashed into him. It was heavier than anything before. Far heavier than he imagined. His body shuddered as if all the bones inside had fractured at once. What? How was this possible? The Kaguya clan leader's face twisted in disbelief. His bones, infused with Shikatsu-myaku, were harder than chakra-forged kunai, forged from the finest iron. That was what made them legendary. The hardest shield. The sharpest spear. Yet now, one punch had nearly shattered his skeletal structure. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. What kind of monstrous power was this? Why hadn't Haru used it before? Was he concealing a flaw? Or was this all part of his design? The Kaguya Patriarch's mind reeled, but his battle instincts honed from countless fights allowed him to seize an opportunity. All those flickering phantoms. He could never identify the real body, but this punch, this one that had just landed, was real. Without hesitation, a massive bone spike erupted diagonally from his left palm at breakneck speed. The timing was perfect. Many warriors fell at the peak of their own success, right when they were most relaxed. But he endured the agonizing pain racking his body and made his move. He believed that with this strike, he could still end the fight in his favor. Then he looked up. Into Haru's calm eyes. There was no panic, no hesitation. Just amusement, like a predator toying with a mouse. And in that instant, the Kaguya Patriarch knew something was wrong. Something terribly wrong. His bone spike was just inches away from piercing Haru's heart. But then, Haru Uchiha vanished. No hand seals. No movement. No warning. Just gone. The Kaguya leader's brain stopped for a second. The afterimages from before were already hard enough to track, but this was something else. This defied comprehension. How do you fight something you can't see? How do you hit something that moves faster than light? He had finally seized a chance. He had gambled with his body to land a blow. And Haru disappeared again? But more important than how he vanished was where he would reappear. Because that would decide the victor. No. His survival. Instinctively, the Kaguya Patriarch turned. A ninja's back. Always the weakest point. It was second nature to protect it. If an enemy had the ability to teleport or flicker around, where would they strike? The back, of course. And his instinct was correct. He had guessed it. But he was too late. Haru's punch landed squarely on his back, with a force even more terrifying than before. A wet gag choked out of the Kaguya Patriarch's throat as internal organs nearly burst from the impact. His spine crumpled. His body gave way. His legs folded beneath him like a broken doll. And all of this, despite the infamous Shikatsu-myaku armor. That legendary defense shattered in one hit. His eyes went wide with disbelief as he was flung through the air like a ragdoll. His body crashed into the wall of the house behind him, the impact echoing like thunder. A spiderweb of cracks exploded across the surface. Then, collapse. The wall gave in, and the proud leader of the Kaguya clan fell to the ground in a heap of rubble. His white robes, stained with dirt and blood. The bone spur once held by the Kaguya clan leader, revered as the sharpest spear in the world, fell to the ground with a dull thud. The clan leader's expression twisted in shock, a smear of blood trailing from the corner of his lips. He stared blankly at the Uchiha youth who had brought him down with a single, devastating strike. The feelings storming within him were difficult to articulate. If he was being honest, Haru Uchiha hadn't even been fighting him seriously at the beginning. Only later had the young Uchiha started taking things more seriously. And the gap between them. It was colossal. Such a bizarre mastery of the teleportation jutsu, the ability to vanish without hand seals, and the sheer, monstrous power that could shake even his Shikatsu-myaku, not to mention the wood style. Once considered the exclusive domain of the legendary god of shinobi. That Haru had casually revealed earlier. And then there was the Sharingan. Still unused, still lurking. Terrifying. Just what kind of monster was this Uchiha youth? Several other elite Kaguya clan members looked on, equally stunned. They'd lost. Lost? The clan leader, whom they viewed as an invincible god of war, had actually been defeated. And in such a humiliating fashion. It wasn't even a real battle. There had been no contest. It was domination. Protect the clan leader. The momentary daze broke. A few Kaguya warriors surged forward, shielding their fallen leader. They knew Haru Uchiha's strength was on another level. They couldn't win. Still. They didn't hesitate. Chief, go. Run. We'll stop him. They shouted desperately, prepared to throw their lives away. To the Kaguya clan, the clan leader was not just a person. He was a symbol. A beacon. As long as he lived, their hope remained. If he died, it would mark the beginning of their extinction. No. There's no need. Cough, cough. The Kaguya clan leader struggled to his feet, blood dribbling from his mouth, his voice hoarse. That last punch. Haru's punch. Was too heavy, his body nearly collapsing under its weight. The injuries were severe, maybe even fatal. But he didn't run. Not because he didn't want to, but because he knew. There was no point. Haru Uchiha could appear anywhere at any time. No one here could stop him. Running would only delay the inevitable. Life and death were no longer in their hands the moment Haru entered the battlefield. You win. The clan leader smiled bitterly, shaking his head. He was fully convinced of his loss. His opponent's speed was overwhelming. His strength wasn't human. His bloodline techniques, which he had taken such pride in, had been reduced to ornamental scraps. Haru Uchiha had crushed the so-called strongest shield of the Shikatsu Myaku with just his fists. It wasn't even close. However, if you think you can use brute force to make the entire Kaguya clan bow to you, you're dead wrong. The Kaguya clan would rather die than submit. The leader's eyes narrowed, steel in his voice. Around him, the other Kaguya elites showed no fear. They were ready to fight, to die, and never surrender. The Kaguya were a war-born clan. Combat wasn't just in their blood. It was their identity. But even more than their bloodlust, it was their unyielding spirit that defined them. Their code was clear: never surrender. Die with pride. Call them ignorant. Call them stubborn. But their simplicity was their purity. They lived by their beliefs, never betraying their word. When Haru Uchiha, who had studied the Kaguya clan long before arriving, witnessed this, he gave a subtle nod in admiration. This trip was worth it. He didn't want another manipulative schemer like Denzo. He didn't need politicians like the third Hokage. He needed warriors. Loyal allies. People who stood firm, no matter the odds. Haru's expression remained calm as he began walking slowly toward the clan. Each step was deliberate. His pace was not quick, but the pressure he exuded was suffocating. A mighty, invisible weight hung in the air around him, pushing down on everyone nearby. Even those who were prepared to die couldn't help but feel their hearts tremble in his presence. From the ground, a thick vine rose. Summoned with his wood-style, deep forest emergence. It coiled upward, retrieving the bone spur the Kaguya clan leader had dropped, and placed it into Haru's hand. This was no ordinary bone spur. It was the hardest and sharpest. The core weapon of the Kaguya clan leader, forged from the densest part of his Shikatsu Myaku. To the Kaguya clan, this bone spur was indestructible. Now, it rested in Haru Uchiha's hands. The faces of the nearby Kaguya members instantly darkened with fury. Even the clan leader's eyes narrowed with restrained rage. His most precious weapon, his pride, had fallen into enemy hands. The humiliation was unspeakable. But he barely had time to process that feeling before his rage turned into something far more intense. Pure, disbelieving shock. Because Haru Uchiha held the bone spur in both hands. And began to bend it. Not examine it. Not keep it. Break it. He was actually trying to break the most indestructible bone in the world. Chapter 100, The dust has settled. He gave too much. Crazy. Impossible. This is simply impossible. The head of the Kaguya clan was roaring fiercely in his heart. Although Haru Uchiha had shaken his bones and veins with a single punch earlier, causing him severe injury, that did not mean he could break that bone spur. That bone spur was the hardest part of his body. It was more than 10 times stronger than ordinary bone. Absolutely no one could shake it, absolutely no one. But, though he believed this deep down, the ominous premonition growing in his heart made his usually calm brows wrinkle tightly, like a crumpled sheet of paper. The other Kaguya clan shinobi around him shared the same feeling, watching Haru Uchiha's almost insane behavior. Their bodies trembled involuntarily. Haru gripped both ends of the bone spur and slowly exerted force. Then the bone spur began to bend. Slightly, but unmistakably. The faces of the Kaguya clan head and his followers instantly twisted into expressions of disbelief. Never before, no matter the opponent, had that hardest bone spur shown any deformation. It was the hardest material in the world. No one had ever made it shift, let alone break. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Yet now, that hard, sharp bone spur was slowly warping in Haru Uchiha's grasp. And the pressure grew more intense. Soon, a faint creaking sound came from the bone spur. It was the sharpest spear, the strongest shield in the world. Finally, with a crisp, cracking snap, the bone spur shattered. It split cleanly in two. The Kaguya clan leader and the masters around him stood stunned, dumbfounded. Silence. Deadly silence. They stared wordlessly at the broken bone spur. Shock, disappointment, humiliation, and countless other emotions surged through their hearts all at once. What was broken was not just a bone spur. It was the dignity of their entire Kaguya clan. The Shikatsu Myaku, the corpse bone pulse, this bloodline limit they so proudly claimed, symbolized far more than just power. After the silence, though, the steely resolve in the Kaguya leader's eyes remained unbroken. Haru Uchiha, you are strong. He said bitterly. But we, the Kaguya clan, will never surrender. You can kill us all, exterminate our clan, but don't even think about making us submit. That is simply impossible. Nearby, Kaguya clan elites echoed. That's right, don't even dream it. We, the Kaguya clan, will never surrender. Kill us if you can. Haru Uchiha was somewhat speechless. Control? Kill? None of those were his aims. He looked calmly at Patriarch Kaguya and said, Patriarch Kaguya, I'll say this again. I am here to help you. I do not want to control the Kaguya clan, nor do I want to kill you. That would be meaningless. The Kaguya clan leader's eyes flickered with thought. Previously, he had dismissed such words from Haru. Now, he was beginning to believe them a little. Because the other side was too powerful. So powerful that a single person could wipe out their entire clan. Why would someone that strong lie to them? If the Kaguya clan was unwilling to surrender, then kill them all and replace them with another clan. There would always be those who feared death and agreed to submit. Why bother talking? Therefore, Haru Uchiha's words actually sounded credible. It was just. Why? Why help the Kaguya clan? Mr. Haru, said the Kaguya clan leader. His tone now respectful, marking a shift in attitude. What do you want to gain by helping our Kaguya clan? Until now, he believed that profit was the only motive. Nothing is done without reason in this world. Moreover, the Uchiha clan had no ties to the Kaguya clan. Why would they lend aid? It seemed utterly unreasonable. He needed to figure this out. Haru replied. There are some things you don't need to know. You only need to understand that what I plan to do will benefit the Kaguya clan, and it will not harm you. Once this is accomplished, your clan will become the largest force in Hidden Mist Village without risking rebellion. An influence no one can ignore. Moreover, its power within Hidden Mist Village will grow significantly. Of course, Haru would not reveal all of his plans, especially his ultimate goal to gradually take control over the entire Hidden Mist Village. What does Mr. Haru need from our Kaguya clan? The leader asked. Simple. Haru said. I just need your support. I want the Kaguya clan to stand united with me. After Maitru Mummy exposed the fact that the fourth Mizukage, Yagura Itachi, was being controlled, Haru needed strong allies among the powerful families of Hidden Mist Village to help stabilize the situation and to assist Maitru Mummy's rise to become the fifth Mizukage. This is why he came to the Kaguya clan. The Kaguya clan leader's mind stirred. Support. Standing on the same side. Others might not have noticed anything in those words. But he was different. From those few words, he keenly sensed something. Sure enough, he had underestimated the young Uchiha standing before him. In his eyes, he had never viewed the Kaguya clan as insignificant. But the entire Hidden Mist Village. No wonder Haru Uchiha said from the start that he had come to help the Kaguya clan. It turned out. Haru Uchiha's true target was the Mizukage. Alright. After a brief moment of thought, the Kaguya clan leader made his decision. It was not difficult. After all, under the rule of the fourth Mizukage, Yagura Itachi, their clan was struggling. They faced the risk of extinction, even genocide. Even without Haru Uchiha, they would have fought back desperately for survival. Now, they pinned their hopes on another. And this person was extremely powerful. Their chance of success was far greater than their own. More importantly, after victory, Haru Uchiha would surely need the backing of local powers in Hidden Mist Village. No matter how powerful he was, without local support, it would be impossible to establish a firm foothold. In other words, once victorious, the Kaguya clan's future would shine brighter than ever. As for failure, it would only delay the inevitable. Their strength remained intact, they still had the means to fight to the death. So although he didn't know exactly what Haru's plan entailed, or whether he had allies beyond the Kaguya clan, or what the specifics were, he agreed. Good. Very good. Haru Uchiha nodded with satisfaction. Securing the Kaguya clan's alliance meant his goal was halfway accomplished. The trip was worthwhile. Chief Kaguya, you will be thankful for your decision tonight. Because of your choice, the Kaguya clan will grow stronger and more prosperous. The clan leader smiled and nodded. I don't know when you plan to begin, Mr. Haru, but if there is anything our Kaguya clan can do, please say the word. Once committed, they had to behave responsibly. They needed to cooperate where necessary, help where they could. Only then could the plan succeed, and the Kaguya clan reap the benefits once it did. No need. If the need arises, you will know. Haru said calmly. The head of the Kaguya clan was slightly disappointed but still smiled and nodded. Yes. Haru responded. With business settled, it was time for him to depart. Just as he turned to leave, a sudden thought crossed his mind. He spun back to the Kaguya clan leader. Chief Kaguya, is there someone named Kimimaro in your clan? Kimimaro. In the original Naruto world, he was the last surviving member of the Kaguya clan. He had inherited one of the closest to perfect Shikatsumiyaku bloodlines. He might even be stronger than the current clan leader. Haru wanted to know where this person was now. Was he still within the clan? Kimimaro-ro's potential was immense. If Haru could seize this chance to recruit him, it would be a tremendous future asset. The clan leader was stunned. He hadn't expected Haru to ask such a question. But he answered. Kimimaro is my son. Your son? No wonder. Haru understood a little. No wonder Kimimaro had inherited such a near-perfect Shikatsumiyaku. He was the son of the Kaguya clan leader. Well, take care of him. One day, your son will become the pride of the Kaguya clan and surpass even you. With those words left behind, Haru Uchiha vanished using the teleportation jutsu. The Kaguya clan leader frowned slightly. He didn't understand. How could someone like Haru Uchiha know his son's name? Keep in mind, his son was still just a toddler learning to walk. As for his talent, he couldn't see any signs of it. The child was frail, sickly, weak. How could he have caught Haru Uchiha's attention? While pondering this, several strong Kaguya clan members nearby noticed Haru's departure and felt relief deep inside. Though they didn't know why later, they suddenly found themselves cooperative instead of enemies. But the oppressive presence of a master who could kill them all in seconds had unsettled them deeply. Clan leader, are we still going to rebel? A powerful Kaguya clan member asked. The Kaguya clan's people were simple-minded. They hadn't fully understood the conversation between Haru and their leader. No. Now, we just wait. Just wait. The sky of Hidden Mist Village is about to change. The Kaguya clan leader murmured to himself, half his eyes closed. Chapter 101, Haru Uchiha, these people must die. In the silent night, Maitru Mummy dashed swiftly through the dense forest. She wore a black night cloak that concealed her face, moving like a nimble cheetah stalking through the shadows. Behind her, over a dozen ninjas pursued relentlessly, occasionally tossing explosive tags, kunai, and shuriken in her direction. The gap between pursuer and prey steadily narrowed with each passing moment. Maitru Mummy was in a poor state. Her body was marked by 5 or 6 fresh scars, most notably a severe wound on her left shoulder that continuously oozed blood. Fortunately, the place she sought wasn't far. Just 4 days ago, Maitru Mummy had begun harboring doubts about the 4th Mizukage based on what Haru Uchiha had said. She resolved to test whether the current 4th Mizukage was truly the rightful ruler or merely a puppet controlled by some other force, perhaps through Ganjutsu. To do this, she sought out Tao, an elite Jonin of Hidden Mist Village renowned for his exceptional strength. During the Third Great Ninja War, Ao had received a transplantation of the Hyuga clan's Byakugan bloodline limit, becoming one of the few Byakugan users outside Hidden Leaf Village. As a result, he possessed many of the Byakugan's abilities, including the unique power to perceive chakra flow with great precision. Crucially, the chakra pattern of a person under Ganjutsu differed noticeably from that of a normal shinobi. In other words, Ao could discern if the 4th Mizukage was truly under an illusion. Though there was a significant age gap between Maitru Mummy and Ao, their relationship was one of mutual trust and understanding. Otherwise, given Maitru Mummy's cautious nature, she would never have entrusted such a sensitive task to anyone. Together, Maitru Mummy and Ao approached the 4th Mizukage's residence several times. Each time, the 4th Mizukage refused their visit under various pretexts. This only deepened Maitru Mummy's suspicions. Since the Third Great Ninja War, the 4th Mizukage had rarely appeared before the village. When he did, he seldom spoke. Was he truly being controlled? What had been a seed of doubt in Maitru Mummy's mind now blossomed into conviction. Risking punishment, she quietly ventured to the fourth Mizukage's home with Ao. This mission was crucial, and she had to get to the truth. If the fourth Mizukage was indeed a puppet, then all the bloodshed and darkness that had plagued Hidden Mist Village for years were orchestrated by the unseen mastermind pulling the strings. If only the fourth Mizukage could be freed from control, Hidden Mist Village's grim reign would end. This sacrifice was worth any price. And the result did not disappoint Maitru Mummy. Though she still wasn't completely certain if Genjutsu was at play, what she saw shocked her. Inside the Mizukage's residence was a figure cloaked in a robe embroidered with red clouds, wearing a single-eyed mask. Most notable were the figure's eyes, glowing with the unmistakable Mangekyo Sharingan. The fourth Mizukage lay on his bed, motionless, seemingly in a coma. Seeing this, Maitru Mummy's shock deepened. There was no more room for doubt. Something was definitely wrong. She had to flee and spread the news immediately. This masked figure controlled the Mizukage, and if he could manipulate such a powerful man, she was no match for him. Ao shared the same grim realization. The two planned their escape without hesitation. But fate had other plans. Just as they tried to slip away, the masked man caught sight of them. At the same moment, the fourth Mizukage awoke with a shout, accusing them of treason and ordering their capture. Maitru Mummy escaped by a hair's breadth, but not without injury. Ao, the Byakugan user, was captured to cover her retreat. Maitru Mummy fled desperately. The hidden mist shinobi behind her pursued fiercely. She knew her strength alone was no match for so many enemies. If caught, death was inevitable. Having witnessed a secret she was never meant to see, all hope seemed lost. If she wanted to survive, only one person could save her now. Haru Uchiha. Unexpectedly, I still need his help in the end. Maitru Mummy sighed inwardly. Originally, she had planned to handle everything herself and then unite Hidden Mist's forces against Haru Uchiha. But it seemed only Haru could save her. Swish. From behind, a kunai rigged with an explosive tag whistled through the air. The blast erupted violently. The explosion rocked Maitru Mummy's balance, she nearly fell from the tree where she had taken cover. Her wounds worsened, but she grit her teeth and pressed onward toward the forest clearing where she and Haru had agreed to meet. Here we are. Finally. Despite reaching her destination, Maitru Mummy's face showed little relief. The pursuing ninjas were closing in fast. Though formidable, she was heavily outnumbered. Her injuries further slowed her pace. Swish, swish, swish. Kunai and shuriken flew toward Maitru Mummy from behind. At such close range, the speed of the kunai and shuriken made them difficult to dodge. To avoid them, one had to react at the earliest possible moment. Fortunately, Maitru Mummy remained alert, otherwise, she would have been gravely injured. I'm coming. She shouted, though she hadn't quite reached her destination yet. Maitru Mummy hoped Haru Uchiha would arrive in time to save her. Because now, she really couldn't hold on much longer. At the same time, the ninjas chasing her heard her shout. They realized something was wrong. This assassin likely had accomplices, and they needed to eliminate any potential threats to prevent future problems. More than a dozen ninjas quickened their pace, closing in on Maitru Mummy. Some threw kunai and explosive tags, while others flanked her on both sides. Under such a fierce assault, the already injured Maitru Mummy inevitably slowed. Despite her best efforts to dodge the incoming kunai and shuriken, she was surrounded by a dozen Hidden Mist Village ninjas. These shinobi were all trusted confidants of Yaguraka Itachi, the fourth Mizukage. Similar to Hidden Lee Village's Anbu. They would obey the Mizukage's orders without hesitation. The fourth Mizukage had commanded Maitru Mummy's death. Unless every one of these dozen ninjas died, they would complete their mission. Maitru Mummy knew how deeply loyal these men were to the Mizukage. She didn't expect that her words could sway them into believing that the current Mizukage was a puppet controlled by others. Not the real ruler. After all, her identity was that of an assassin. How could these loyal ninja believe the words of a stranger rather than their lord? It was almost impossible. Despair washed over Maitru Mummy's face. Is this it? She hadn't revealed the truth. That the fourth Mizukage was controlled by another. She hadn't saved Hidden Mist Village from this dire fate. How could she die here? But what else could she do? She was surrounded, with no way out. And the person she was counting on hadn't arrived. Though close to the meeting point, it would still take time to reach. In the past, it would have taken only a minute. No, half a minute. But now, that short distance felt like an unbridgeable chasm between life and death. Maybe this was fate. Maitru Mummy looked at the dozen ninjas tightening their circle, ready to strike, and her expression grew more desperate. She closed her eyes and accepted her fate. A gentle breeze brushed her cheek, soothing and comforting. She clearly sensed time passing, but her body no longer felt pain. What was happening? She opened her eyes. Bright and clear like Carolyn's. And froze. Before her stood a man. He wore a pitch-black robe and possessed an unbelievably perfect appearance. Haru Uchiha. Around them, more than a dozen hidden mist ninjas stood motionless, their eyes dull, as if trapped in a powerful genjutsu. Did he save me? Maitru Mummy thought. You're here. Have you figured it out clearly? She asked. While Maitru Mummy was being chased, Haru had already noticed the approaching threat. After all, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was no joke. Its insight spanned 360 degrees, and no movement, no matter how subtle, could be hidden. Especially with so many people infiltrating. Not noticing them would be laughable. Trumummy's question snapped Maitru Mummy from her shock. Just as she was about to answer, she glanced at the motionless hidden mist ninjas surrounding her. They're trapped in my genjutsu. Haru explained calmly. No matter what we say or do, they won't be aware of anything. Oh. Maitru Mummy exhaled a sigh of relief, her respect for Haru growing. He had managed to trap more than a dozen elite Jonin-level shinobi in an instant. Such power was terrifying. No wonder even the fourth Mizukage. No, the people controlling the fourth Mizukage feared him so much. Maitru Mummy took a deep breath to calm herself and asked. Can you release them? They don't know who I am. Haru replied. She had worn a night cloak that concealed her identity well, it was impossible for these ninjas to recognize her. No. They must die. Haru's voice was calm, almost indifferent. He spoke of more than a dozen lives as if discussing something trivial. Why? Maitru Mummy asked, unable to understand. Though these people hunted Haru, they were deceived by those behind the Mizukage. It wasn't their fault. They were Hidden Mist Village's elite and fiercely loyal to their village. Maitru Mummy did not want to see so many loyal Hidden Mist Village ninjas slaughtered. But they heard your voice. Haru said. Chapter 102, I want more than just you. But they heard your voice and saw your silhouette. There's a chance they might recognize you. Also, they're caught in my genjutsu. Ordinary shinobi can't see through it, but that doesn't mean no one can. Controlling more than a dozen Jonin-level ninja simultaneously. Besides the Uchiha clan's Mangekyo Sharingan, what else can do that in this world? Do you want people to start guessing my existence? Wondering if I'm secretly working behind the scenes? Haru Uchiha looked at Maitru Mummy and explained slowly. But. Maitru Mummy frowned slightly. She wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Because she knew Haru was right. If those ninja were allowed to leave, they risked exposing him. But she still couldn't bear to see those loyal Hidden Mist shinobi harmed. No buts. Haru cut her off sharply. To accomplish great things, you must be decisive and ruthless. There's no right or wrong, no should or shouldn't. Only what benefits you. These people must die. With those words, thick vines suddenly sprouted from the ground, wrapping tightly around the illusion-bound ninja. Crack. They were crushed and broken on the spot. All those Hidden Mist shinobi died instantly. Maitru Mummy's eyes widened in horror as her whole body trembled. At that moment, she truly realized what kind of shinobi this Uchiha man before her was. Roughly her age but utterly cold and composed. Decisive in killing, calm in the face of death, never hesitating or dragging his feet. He made the best choice for himself, without regard for anything else. There was no doubt these 26 deaths were terrifying. She couldn't do it. At least, not now. But this was the woman destined to become the fifth Mizukage. After a brief moment of shock and reluctant acceptance, she calmed herself. What Haru Uchiha did was right. Though cruel and hard to accept, right is right. Perhaps she should become someone like Haru. The two left together. More enemies could arrive at any time. This was no place to linger. Besides, standing next to the corpses of former comrades stirred painful emotions in Maitru Mummy. They reached a secluded spot. Maitru Mummy answered Haru's earlier questions. The fourth Mizukage really is compromised. She recounted how she tested the Mizukage and was discovered. A man wearing a mask? Haru's eyes narrowed. Yes. A man with a spiral mask, with only his left eye visible. Maitru Mummy still vividly remembered the terrifying pressure radiating from that figure. So he'd arrived too. With such distinctive features, Haru certainly had a good guess who the man was. The masked man claiming to be Madara Uchiha. He was here as well. Are you uneasy? Maitru Mummy asked. A woman's intuition was often accurate. Haru did not deny it. I suspect so. Oh. Maitru Mummy nodded. But then her expression abruptly changed. She took 2 steps back, struck by a terrifying thought. If Haru Uchiha knew the masked man, could it be that they were once on the same side? Yes. The Sharingan symbolized the Uchiha clan. The masked man was an Uchiha. Haru was also an Uchiha. They were from the same clan. The thought sent a chill through her. Haru noticed Maitru Mummy's sudden shift in mood. Is something wrong? He asked. What is your relationship with that mysterious masked man? Are you two working together to destroy Hidden Mist? What's the real conspiracy? Maître Mummy's voice trembled with anxiety. If her suspicions were true, Hidden Mist might be doomed. We've had dealings, but we're not friends. Haru explained carefully. He saw Maître Mummy's suspicion and knew her thoughts were understandable. In such a sensitive situation, trusting a stranger blindly would be foolish. Still, Maître Mummy's eyes held doubt. Though she recognized her suspicions as baseless. Even absurd. If Haru and the masked man were truly colluding, why would they have approached her, warning that the fourth Mizukage was controlled? Yet from what she had learned, there were secrets hidden from her knowledge, secrets tied to the survival of all Hidden Mist Village. Even the fourth Mizukage was being manipulated. Now she trusted no one. However, this time Haru Uchiha didn't explain too much. He said lightly. You can either choose to believe me or leave on your own. I won't stop you. Now it was Maître Mummy who needed him, not the other way around. Haru only needed a spokesperson within the Hidden Mist Village. That person could be Maître Mummy or someone else. But Maître Mummy was different. Besides herself, there was no other choice. Hearing Haru's words, Maître Mummy frowned even deeper. She had expected Haru to come up with all kinds of reasons, but never thought he would let her walk away so easily. For a moment, she was at a loss. She now clearly understood just how much she needed help. Most people in the Hidden Mist Village would never believe she was just an ordinary ninja with little influence. She needed a powerful ally. Someone strong enough to turn the tide. Haru Uchiha was the best choice. The question was there really no risk in doing this? Maître Mummy pondered carefully, hesitating, wrestling with her doubts. Finally, after some time, she raised her head and asked solemnly. Haru Uchiha, I have only one question. I hope you will answer me honestly. Will you harm the Hidden Mist Village? The Hidden Mist Village. This was what she cared about most. No matter how dark or bloody the Hidden Mist Village had become, this was the place where she was born and raised. She held the deepest feelings for it. No matter what the future held, she wanted to be certain the village would remain safe. No. Haru replied firmly. I promise the Hidden Mist Village will only grow stronger and better. Moreover, I will help you become the fifth Mizukage and give you control over the village. Since he had chosen the Hidden Mist Village as his foundation, he naturally hoped it would thrive and grow powerful. That way, during the coming upheavals, he would gain greater influence and a stronger position. Let me become the fifth Mizukage, and then just be your puppet. Like the fourth Mizukage, who's controlled right now. Maître Mummy said bitterly, sarcasm sharp in her voice. She suddenly realized something important. This wasn't about helping the Hidden Mist Village or even helping her become Mizukage. Haru Uchiha wanted to control the entire Hidden Mist Village. That's right. He said calmly. I will control Hidden Mist Village behind the scenes, but at least I won't use Ganjutsu illusions to manipulate you. Haru had plenty of excuses for his actions. After all, he had invested so much effort, of course he wouldn't make it easy for others. Hidden Mist Village had to be firmly in his grasp. There was no need to explain. If he even tried, it wouldn't work, since it was all too obvious. You can't even think about it. Maître Mummy's brows knitted tightly. I will never agree to that. She couldn't bear to hand over her village to an outsider. You can refuse, and then I will kill you and find someone else, someone will agree. Haru said calmly. He needed Maître Mummy. Not only as a puppet, but as someone who could genuinely handle village affairs. But if Maître Mummy was truly stubborn, then she simply wouldn't be Maître Mummy anymore. Maître Mummy was furious, but had no way to vent her anger. The fourth Mizukage was already controlled by others. Though somewhat famous within the village, she was still young and lacked real influence. How many people would believe her? Haru Uchiha was the same. Both wanted to use her to control Hidden Mist Village. A deep sense of helplessness washed over her. She had no way to break the deadlock. In just a few minutes, she tried countless options and weighed their consequences. The best choice was to listen to Haru Uchiha and become his puppet. After all, that way she could still maintain some control and prevent Hidden Mist Village from falling completely out of control. Although Haru insisted she was not the only one involved, Maître Mummy keenly sensed it was far more complicated than he let on. She didn't know why Haru had come to her. But she knew one thing. She possessed something unique, something Haru needed. Otherwise, why would he bother with her at all? As long as she was irreplaceable to some extent, she now held the upper hand in dealing with Haru Uchiha. Silence. 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 Maître Mummy lowered her head and fell silent. Haru did not press her, standing patiently to await her answer. Finally, after a long pause, Maître Mummy lifted her head, exhaled deeply, and said, Okay, I promise you. However, you must promise me you will never use illusions to control me, and you will not do anything that harms the Hidden Mist Village. Agreed. Haru nodded firmly. Maitru Mummy felt more at ease. A strong man like Haru Uchiha. His words shouldn't be empty promises. They reached a unanimous agreement. Immediately, they began discussing their next steps. What should be done next? Chapter 103, For my wife's sake, I can spare your life. The masked man already knew he had been exposed as the one controlling the fourth Mizukage through illusions. He would definitely take action soon. Haru Uchiha and Maitru Mummy had to prepare quickly. In Hidden Mist Village, besides the fourth Mizukage, are there any other important figures who could influence the situation in the village? Haru asked. Maitru Mummy was the spokesperson he had chosen, but she was still young and her words carried little weight. Even if she spoke the truth, few would believe her. They needed a real heavyweight to step forward and expose this deception. After thinking for a moment, Maitru Mummy said. There are two. One is the patriarch of the Kaguya clan. The Kaguya clan is the largest and most powerful clan in Hidden Mist Village. Their patriarch holds significant influence. Although the Kaguya clan's power has waned over the years due to the fourth Mizukage's oppressive policies, it remains the most prominent family in Hidden Mist Village. If we can get the clan leader's support, it would be a great help. But the people in this clan have strange personalities, and their leader, Genji, is unpredictable. It won't be easy to gain their help. Yes. Haru nodded. He had already made preliminary moves with the Kaguya clan. And the other? He pressed. There's also the Elder Genji. Maitru Mummy revealed another name. Elder Genji? Haru's mind stirred. He had some impression of the name. In the Naruto world, when the fourth Mizukage was found to be controlled by illusions, it wasn't Maitru Mummy, the fifth Mizukage, who stepped up immediately to manage the crisis. Instead, it was the Elder Genji of Hidden Mist Village who took on the Mizukage's duties. Though he never officially became Mizukage, he exercised its authority for many years until he grew too old to continue and passed the mantle to Maitru Mummy. However, the Elder Genji rarely appeared in public, so Haru wasn't sure what kind of person he was. The Elder Genji has been a highly respected figure in Hidden Mist Village since before the second Mizukage's era. Mai explained slowly. Many even regard him as more prestigious than the fourth Mizukage. In the early days of the fourth Mizukage's rule, whenever a major event occurred, he consulted Elder Genji. If we can secure the Elder's help, we will be halfway to exposing that the fourth Mizukage is being controlled by illusions. Alright, let's go find Elder Genji now. Haru decided promptly. Yes. Mai nodded, then hesitated. Now. Isn't it a little inappropriate? It's late at night. This isn't the best time to petition. Haru shook his head. Now is exactly the time. This must be dealt with quickly. The masked man already knows someone suspects his control over the fourth Mizukage. With his intelligence, he might suspect me too. Perhaps he's already taken action. We must expose his control over the fourth Mizukage and, by extension, Hidden Mist Village as soon as possible. This time, Maitru Mummy didn't object. She had seen the masked man with her own eyes. Though they hadn't fought, it was enough to know how terrifying he was. Against such an enemy, swift planning was vital. The two rushed to the residence of Elder Genji. When they arrived, Haru suddenly vanished. You aren't coming with me? Maitru Mummy asked. Though she had doubts about Haru and didn't fully trust him, having such a formidable ally at her side gave her comfort. Do you want Elder Genji to know that Uchiha controls everything behind the scenes? Haru asked. He didn't know the Elder's character, but he understood one thing clearly, the less exposure, the better. After all, Haru was an outsider in Hidden Mist Village, and suspicion was inevitable. Maitru Mummy was stunned but then understood. If they wanted Elder Genji to expose the fourth Mizukage's control, having an Uchiha appear during this process would complicate matters. It might make the Elder more suspicious. So Maitru Mummy entered Elder Genji's residence alone. Of course, this wasn't a formal visit through the front door, but a quiet, stealthy approach. At this late hour, the Elder was likely asleep. How could she see him otherwise? Servants would stop her and tell her to return tomorrow. Moreover, Elder Genji's high status meant he wasn't easily accessible, even during the day. The Elder's mansion was not luxurious, it was somewhat worn down. This matched the Elder's simple lifestyle and was part of why he had earned so much respect. Maitru Mummy had visited the Elder's residence several times for missions and knew the layout well. There was no need to hesitate, and soon she reached the Elder's bedroom. Elder Genji, Elder Genji. She whispered, knocking gently. Maitru Mummy called softly in front of the door. Not long after, an old man's voice came from inside the house. Who is it? It's me, Maitru Mummy. I have something important to report to you, Elder. Alright, come in. Elder Genji said slowly, his voice steady and calm. Just as Materumami was about to push the door open and enter, Haru Uchiha suddenly appeared beside her. Though he had stayed in the shadows upon arriving at Elder Genji's residence, it was clear he had no intention of letting Materumami proceed alone. He had been silently following close behind, ready to respond to any sudden threat. Materumami was puzzled by Haru's sudden appearance. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. Why now? Haru made a quick hush gesture, signaling Materumami not to reveal his presence. Of course, he wouldn't show himself without reason. And since he had appeared, it meant something unexpected had happened. That unexpected event was unfolding right inside Elder Genji's room. Inside, besides Elder Genji, there was someone else. Noticing Haru's caution, Materumami immediately became alert. Something was definitely wrong. Otherwise, why would Haru suddenly appear? Come in, why don't you come in? Elder Genji's voice called again from inside. Materumami glanced at Haru, feeling torn. She knew something was amiss, but with Elder Genji inside, she trusted his voice and wondered if she should go in after all. Just then, a sudden row of wooden stakes materialized between Materumami and the door. A rapid ding-ding-ding followed. The unmistakable sound of kunai and shuriken piercing into wood. Materumami's face paled. How could she not realize that several kunai and shuriken had just been launched at her? If not for Haru Uchiha's timely protection, she would have been seriously injured. Huh? The person inside the room murmured, clearly surprised at the quick counterattack. But since he had been exposed, there was no point in hiding anymore. He burst out of the room with a swift motion. It was a ninja dressed in a black robe embroidered with red clouds. An Akatsuki member. He appeared relatively young and wore a scratched Hidden Leaf Village forehead protector, a notorious mark branding him as a rogue shinobi. Most striking were his eyes. Blood red, the three magatama connected in a sickle shape, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Haru Uchiha immediately recognized him. Itachi Uchiha. Itachi's sharp eyes fell on the Elder Genji, held hostage in one hand, before locking onto Haru standing beside Materumami. His expression darkened instantly. From a young age, Itachi had been hailed as a prodigy, a genius ninja with few equals. Especially in the Uchiha clan. Very few could rival him, let alone suppress him. Until the day he faced the true strength of Haru Uchiha. The blow was severe, the loss bitter. It had wounded Itachi's pride and stoked a deep, reluctant jealousy that he never expected to feel. It's you. Haru said quietly. He had not expected to encounter Itachi again so soon after the massacre of the Uchiha clan. Materumami's eyes widened in surprise. They knew each other? Again? 3 pairs of Sharingan. 3 different Uchiha. Despite her shock, she still trusted Haru and refrained from overreacting. Itachi narrowed his eyes and stared at Haru without a word. His mission was clear, hold Elder Genji hostage, kill whoever came to deliver the message, and deliver all information to the Uchiha clan. But now, besides Materumami, there was another Uchiha. Haru. How could he kill him? This complicated everything. Elder Genji, held captive by Itachi, looked equally bewildered. What was going on? Why were Uchiha fighting Uchiha? What is this madness? He thought. Let him go, and I will let you leave. Haru said to Itachi calmly, but with unwavering confidence. Otherwise, I guarantee you won't leave here alive today. His voice was steady, yet carried an absolute authority. As if mere words from him could decide Itachi's fate.